welcome back. Today we're playing Shibuya Scramble again, and we should be on the second to the last time block. Sorry if there's some drilling. I can't stop it. It's so sad that it only started up like 30 minutes ago or something, but yeah. So, today we're continuing Shibuya Scramble. We're on the second to the last time block. This should be 1700 to 1800, also known as 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. For those who are not used to the 24-hour time thingy. So, for a quick recap. Okay. On Minorikawa's end, since we're already on him, Minorikawa's end is that he started the time block thinking that the person who died in the blue minivan was Toyama. And over the course of the time block, he kind of goes through it, like he's mourning Toyama. He keeps flashbacking to Toyama, and he's like, I'm gonna miss that guy. He was a great guy. And we had our differences, but he's ultimately the guy that really helped me grow as a writer. That was basically what he was doing. And he was even about to sign on to take on Toyama's debts. And Chiaki wanted to stop him, but then, while she was stopping him, she turned up the volume on the TV reporting the news, and it got reported that the person in the blue minivan was Mamoru Tanaka, not Toyama. And that shocked all of them. It shocked Chiaki, it shocked Minorikawa, and it shocked the debt collectors. And that's where they ended up. They were all just like, ain't no way, bruh. Anyways, the next protagonist, Osawa. Osawa didn't really do much this time block, actually. Mostly what he was doing was self-reflection again and kind of berating himself like, I'm such a bad person, I'm such a bad father, and like that. And all the other detectives left because it changed from just being a kidnapping case to a bioterrorist attack. So it changed hands. So all the detectives left, but Hajiwara stayed because he's like, he believes in Osawa. He believes Osawa is a good person and he cares about his children. Hello, Blurneko! Just going through the quick recap. And then they checked on the email again. The strange emails that Osawa received is like from A, and they realized that it came from within Osawa's house, and they suspect it was from I. Maria's end was basically she was captured by Teteno. She basically just stays there with Teteno the whole time. A lot of this is flashbacking, and eventually at the end she remembers everything that she forgot, and that was it. It was the end of her story, no more to be continued. That's the end of Maria's POV. For Achi, okay, not much happened here. But in Achi's POV, he got a call that his little sister had a seizure, and he panics and stuff, but he's being hard-headed, and he didn't want to go to the hospital, but Maria was able to beg him to go to the hospital. Not Maria. He told me... Oh no, now I'm messing up the twins. Hitomi was able to beg him to go to the hospital, and they go to the hospital together. He hears about the situation and all that. He sees Kanan and Stanley form a truce, but he doesn't understand because it's in English. And then Stanley joins up with them and decides like, yeah, I'm gonna be with you guys for extra safety. And then the doctor, his little sister's doctor, comes up to him and goes like, by the way, your dad was super sus. He was saying that there's gonna be this brain dead chick with the blood type, and then I'm gonna have to do the heart transplant on your sister and save her and stuff like that. And it was found out that the person who was supposed to arrive at the hospital brain dead was Hitomi. So the dots are starting to connect a bit more here. And finally, Kano. So half of his time block is him basically kind of grieving the fact that happened to Sasayama. He got stabbed and all that. He's reflecting in the precinct. But then he gets a call from Teteno, and Teteno is like, I have Maria, I heard you have Hitomi. Bring Hitomi to this place, and then, or I'll kill Maria or something like that. And then he shows up without Hitomi, because he doesn't have Hitomi. And Teteno basically explains why he's doing all of this. It's because of his past. He was best friends with Achi's dad, and he loved Achi's mom. They were childhood friends, all three of them. But then He basically let go for the two of them, and then they got together a few years later on. They had kids, right? And Tateno feels like he owes them something because on the day he was chasing a criminal or like a dangerous person, he, right before his eyes, he basically feels like he messed up, and that's what caused Achi's mom to die. And because of that, he feels like he owes Achi's family, and he's trying to help. The reason why he's doing all this and going rogue is because Achi's dad was like, yo, kill Hitomi. Just do it. It'll save my daughter. Kill Hitomi. So that's why he's doing all this. And Kano, last we left off, took the shot against Kano, I think. Against Kano. He took the shot against Tateno. And that's actually the first one I want to go to. Considering this is the second to the last time slot, and oh, the one who shot was Tateno, okay. Considering this is the second to the last time block, as well as the fact that there's only 4 protagonists, I think there's a very real possibility that we'll finish a bit earlier than usual. If we finish a bit earlier than usual and we still have some time, I think I'm going to go into the next time block. Like, that's my general plan. I think I'll do that. Because I feel like the next time block's gonna be super long because it's 2 hours and it's the final one, right? So yeah, that's the plan for today. Thank you for tuning in. And for bearing with the super long summary little scuff. I mean, I feel like it gets more and more complicated every time because it's always like the story is getting more and more complicated, but like slowly we're making things work out, we're making things make sense. I fear when I have to like summarize the final time block, it's gonna be insane. Okay. I took a hydrate too because that was a lot. Alright. A gunshot rang out from Tateno's gun. But it was a wild shot, fired reflexively as the weapon flew out of his hand. A figure had leapt from behind the water storage tank, kicking him in the arm that held the gun. Then, moving almost too fast for the eye to track, the newcomer delivered an elbow strike to Tateno's jaw. Kano didn't even have a chance to fire his gun. Okay, I thought Kano fired. Before he could react, Maria's kidnapper was already laid out on the ground. Without so much as looking back, the girl bolted down the stairs. "Maria!" Kano shouted. He started to chase after her, but a bright glimmer in the corner of his eye stopped him in his tracks. The strange assailant had drawn a knife and was preparing to slit the unconscious Tateno's throat. Kano quickly brought his gun back to bear. "Stop right there!" The knife stopped, mere millimeters from Tateno's neck. Kano was sure that if he hadn't intervened, the detective's throat would have been slit already. The knife wielder pulled back the hood that had been concealing her face. Is it Kanan? Kano's so shocked. "What?" Flabbergasted. "You... I know you," Kano said, shocked to see that he recognized the attacker. It was the girl who'd been knocked down by the minivan explosion. "Why stop me?" she asked, her tone ice cold. "Weren't you just about to shoot him yourself?" "I don't have a reason to shoot him anymore. Not now that you've helped Maria escape. Please put the knife away." "Very well. Looks like he's not waking up for a while anyway." The girl withdrew the knife and rose to her feet. "Why did you come to Maria's rescue?" "Because she's my friend," the girl said simply. "She's been infected with a virus," Kano said. "We have to get her help as soon as possible." He headed for the stairs that Maria had scampered down. "Not so fast. Don't move." The girl's sharp tone made Kano stop. "What for?" he demanded. "I thought you wanted to help." "I do want to help her, which is why I'm not letting the police get their hands on her." The girl's voice was quiet but hard as steel. "The police are afraid of the UA virus spreading, which is why they'll certainly place Maria under quarantine. If that happens, there won't be any way to save her." "Just who in the world are you?" "Before I answer that, let's make a deal." "Oh no." Kano waited, non-committal. "I have information relevant to this case," the girl continued. "I want to make an exchange." Kano swallowed the lump in his throat. On exchange for what? Tell me where Hitomi Osawa is. Hitomi Osawa? Stanley had taken Hitomi into custody. Kano could probably get in touch and ask him where she was, but why do you want to know where Hitomi is? Do we have a deal or not? The girl looked like she was in no mood to argue. Still, if she knew about the UA virus, she was probably telling the truth about having information. But it was a violation of police policy to leak information to on any investigation to a third party. Besides, was it wise to trust this young woman without knowing who she was? Kano weighed his options for a moment before replying. I feel like the only real answer here is yes or no. I feel like she wouldn't answer this. So that doesn't. Alright, sure, I'll tell you. Sure, why not? Watch me make the wrong decision for the millionth time and then screw everyone over. Alright, I'll tell you, Kano agreed. The girl gave a tiny nod. But first, what's your name? Kanan. Kanan? He's having flashbacks? Kano thought back to the grisly scene at the Foreign Syndicate's hideout. Menacing. Did she do that? He was almost afraid to wonder. There was still a lingering trace of adolescence in the strange girl's face. It was hard to believe someone so young could be a covert Middle Eastern operative. And yet Kano had seen how quickly she'd been able to render Teteno unconscious. Alright then, guess I'll go first, Kanan began. There's someone out there trying to get their hands on the antiviral drug. My objective is to eliminate this person, and to put a stop to their plan. Kano felt neither surprise nor horror at the use of the term eliminate. Hi there, you have a nice stream. Thank you for dropping by, Kapen. Have a nice lurk. I really appreciate it. After all that had happened today, he realized his sensibilities had gone numb. This person you're after, you're talking about an arms dealer named Alfred, aren't you? Kanan nodded. The UA virus has been weaponized and tested several times in the battlefield to great effect, she said. The antiviral would render this weapon wholly ineffective. Countries the world over are dying to get their hands on it. Then, why did Alfred orchestrate this kidnapping? If the goal is to get the antiviral, then why not just steal it from the laboratory? There was a lot going on about this kidnapping case that still didn't add up. Kano was sure Alfred's plan was hidden in those baffling details. Lab security at Okoshi Pharmaceutical is practically perfect. The place is under surveillance 24 hours a day, and getting to where the antiviral is requires bypassing 3 sophisticated electronic locks. Getting the antiviral out is impossible. Unexpectedly, a sly grin appeared on Kanan's face. If you were Alfred, how would you steal it? She asked. Uh-huh. Kano was taken aback by the sudden question. He thought good and hard about how to answer. Some way to get the locks open. Wouldn't be able to get it out. If you can't sneak something out, you could sneak something in. No, it's C. I think it's C. Because that's what they did with Hitomi. And I'm assuming I have to give the right answers. If you can't sneak something out, maybe you could sneak something in? Kano hadn't had any particular flash of insight. He just figured the opposite of what might be the obvious answer. To his surprise, Kanan gave a nod. Very astute. Wait, really? 6 days ago, Alfred injected Hitomi Osawa with the UA virus. What? The tale had taken a sudden, very unexpected turn. So it wasn't only Maria who'd been infected, but Hitomi as well? And 6 days ago at that. Wait, hold on. Hitomi Osawa was perfectly fine and healthy earlier today. So that must mean... Exactly. Kenji Osawa administered the antiviral to her. An unsettling thought occurred to Kano. It was supposedly impossible for Osawa to access the antiviral all by himself. But if he'd been able to give it to his daughter all the same, then it had to mean... He needed Mamoru Tanaka's help to do it, of course, Kanan said. Which is why Alfred bribed Tanaka ahead of time. So that's what happened. Tanaka had been paid off to inject Hitomi with the virus. Getting Osawa to take action at that point wouldn't have been difficult. But why go to such lengths to get the antiviral administered to Hitomi? Why would Alfred have Hitomi infected with the virus only to then have her father cure it? It's been roughly a week since she was given the antiviral. The DDS is still in her body. The what? Essentially, taking blood from Hitomi Osawa now would allow someone to extract minuscule amounts of the antiviral. Kano was stunned. Suddenly, these seemingly unrelated threads were beginning to form a pattern. So, since getting the antiviral itself out of the lab wasn't an option, Alfred must have thought of using a human vessel, he murmured. He's getting enlightened, the look of enlightenment. It's all coming together for Kano. Which means the thing that Alfred's really after is... Keinan nodded. Yes, Hitomi's blood, she finished. Alfred specifically requested that Hitomi make the ransom handoff, Keinan said. Additionally, the crime syndicate was hired to carry out a relay with the Itachi case containing the ransom money. This would disrupt the investigation and distract the police, allowing kidnappers to target Hitomi in secret. Wait, no, hold on. There was something about this story that still made no sense to Kano. Tell me this, he said to Keinan. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? Why not use Tanaka for the vessel instead of Hitomi? Was there really no other way to get the antiviral? Yeah, it's probably why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place. And they made a mistake, that's outright it, because Maria purposely did that. Why not just kidnap Hitomi in the first place? That was the key question right there. Why kidnap Maria instead? If Alfred wanted Hitomi's blood, abducting her and not her sister was the obvious move. Surely they could not have been so foolish, right? Surely. It's probably this one. They did make the mistake. Had the kidnappers mistaken Maria for Hitomi? The two were twins after all, so it wasn't inconceivable, but it's my fault that Maria was kidnapped. Keinan looked away. I contacted her before this all started. I told her about the kidnapping plan, and I gave her a GPS beacon to give to her sister so I could track Hitomi's location after she was abducted. But my plan backfired. Maria switched places with Hitomi and let herself get taken by Alfred. What the hell? Why hadn't Maria taken this to the police? Or, if she was so determined to protect her sister, why not just get her to leave town or something like that? There must have been some sort of accident though, Keinan continued. The GPS was never turned on after the kidnapping, and I wasn't able to track Maria down. But there was something even Alfred hadn't counted on. Keinan cast a glance over at Teteno. This person right here, she said. So Teteno had disrupted Alfred's plan by going after Hitomi himself. Considering where it's all led, Keinan continued, Alfred must be panicking about now. But we can't let down our guard. Even now, I'm sure that the mastermind is thinking of some way to fit what this man has done into the master plan. So it's a perfectly imperfect plan. Is that what you're saying? Precisely. Kano flashed Kano an approving grin. I heard that from Stanley, Kano said, the man who drove you to the hospital earlier. That case officer, huh? Case officer? So that was it. Stanley was CIA. Kano, I thought this was pretty normal to us, right? Well, I guess he was going with the cover that he was like an ambassador or something. But come on, Kano. It would only make sense, yeah? Since Alfred is an arms dealer with worldwide connections, I don't know what nation might be trying to obtain the antiviral. Obviously, any country that has the viral weapon would want to prevent their enemies from obtaining it. It's no huge surprise that people are butting in and trying to put a stop to Alfred's plan. What is that beeping? A tiny beeping sound caught Kano's attention. Keinan pulled a PDA from her breast pocket. A what? Personal digital assistant. Oh, like a hand. Okay. Interesting. The GPS I gave to Maria has just been powered on. Now I can find her location. Where is she? She's on the move. But why is the GPS suddenly active now? Keinan frowned. At any rate, I've told you what I want to know. What I know. Now tell me where Hitomi is. Alright. Kano got out his phone and called Stanley. Okay. The American was quick to pick up. What's going on? Where's Hitomi? We're on our way to Endo Electronics in Dogenzaka. Endo Electronics? Why are you going there? Kano was familiar with the dilapidated old storefront. He'd passed by the place countless times. Too long of a story and there's a lot that's happened, Stanley replied. How are things on your end? About as bad as they could be. But I'm getting closer to the truth. Please make sure you keep Hitomi safe. Offered is after her blood. Her blood? Kano told Stanley what he'd heard from Keinan. I see. So that's what's going on. Well, once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Where is she? Keinan asked as soon as Kano had hung up. She's on her way to an electronics store in Dogenzaka. I see. Keinan checked Maria's location on her PDA. First I need to get Maria, she said. I'll get to Hitomi after that. I'm going with you. Be my guest. And with that, Keinan was off and running. Wait, can we keep up, Kano? Can we keep up? He took one last glance at the unconscious Teteno and then hurried after Keinan as fast as he could. Oh, he's keeping up! Oh shit, let's go! They ran from South Hill in Nanpei-dai towards the Shibuya station. As they darted and weaved madly through the narrow side streets, Keinan took an occasional glimpse at her PDA. I don't know, man. I know we checked the glossary and it said personal digital assistant, but PDA just every time I read PDA I keep thinking of like public display of affection. That's what I hear it most commonly used for nowadays. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm just too young or like I kinda got what it was when she pulled it out and then I checked the glossary. Zoomer PDA, yeah, like I went full zoomer. Every time I read it, I'm just thinking that, you know, they're kissing in public or something. I know it's not happening, but that's really what's coming to mind. It's like I have to do a double take. I'm like, took out her PDA. Oh yeah, the small phone-like thing. It felt to Kano that they must be taking the shortest possible route to Maria's location. He stayed quiet, keeping pace as Keinan led the way. Before he knew it, they were heading up Dogenzaka. In not too long, they'd be at Endo Electronics. Hey! Kano called out to Keinan. What? She shouted back without turning. Are you sure this is the right area? Are you doubting the GPS? Maybe I should check. What if we're actually following a GPS that's on Hitomi and not Maria? Then we're gonna get screwed, aren't we? Actually, can I see that GPS unit? Kano peered over Keinan's shoulder and saw that the GPS was indeed pointing in the direction they were headed. They weren't just running around at random, nor was the unit broken. Huh. Endo Electronics is right up ahead, he said. What? Keinan stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are headed for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did that actually mean? Kano hadn't figured that out yet. Wait, so it's not on Hitomi. They're really just going to Endo Electronics, both of them. That means Maria knows something about this too. Man, what a time to not have Maria's POV. I really want to know. They took off running again, and before long, Endo Electronics came into view. Keinan stopped in front of the shop door. I wish I still had Maria POV, guys. Right here, she said, glancing again at her GPS. I knew it, Kano thought. Endo Electronics, the same place Hitomi was headed. Guess we're all winding up together, Keinan said, or else we've been brought together. She peered keenly at the building and its surroundings. Kano swallowed hard. We? You think you've been roped into this too? Quite possibly. Keinan flashed a winning smile and then started to head into the shop. Hold on, I need to report to HQ. Kano hurriedly called Kuze on his cell. Boss, I might be fucked. Kano, what's going on? We may be fucked. We might be walking straight into Alfred's trap or master plan, but we're doing it anyway. You can't stop me. And then drop call. Kano, what's going on? I've located Maria Osawa. Huh? What was that? Kuze's words came out as a surprised and childish yelp. Come on, Kanan's smile turned into a steely glare. Time is critical. He nodded silently back at her. Kano, what's the location? Kuze asked. Where are you? I can't say right now, sir. Please, just leave this to me. Hey, no, just hold on. But Kano ignored the director's squawking and hung up. I love it when Kano keeps disobeying, headquarters orders. Kanan had already entered the shop. She seemed wholly unconcerned by the idea that she might be playing right into Alfred's hands. Despite her youth, she clearly thought herself as quite capable. Warily, he followed after her. Sorry if I'm a little, out of breath? I don't know. For some reason today, I feel a little bit more out of breath than usual when we're playing this. After navigating a veritable cavern of junk, they came to a door that led to the living area beyond. Kanan quietly opened the door and immediately stepped inside. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. The home was divided into a dwelling area and a workroom. Okay, I'll take that now. A man's voice could be overheard from the workroom, raised in anger. Don't you want to save Suzune? Kano and Kanan crept closer. Peering through the next doorway, they saw a tense confrontation in progress. Wait, Hitomi got here first? Oh yeah, they're all here. Okay, interesting. Maria and Stanley were standing there. Oh shit. Looking down at a middle-aged man who had restrained Hitomi with a stun gun pressed to her throat. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. A young man stepped into view, speaking to the older fellow. Everyone's here. Yeah, let's go, Smash Brothers. But do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Kano watched intently, tensing for action. There was so much at risk here. He was about to barge into the workroom when Kanan grabbed him by the shoulder. Let's wait and see how this goes first, she whispered. He realized this was good advice. Yeah, Kano, sometimes you gotta watch first. If they provoke the older man, things could very well take a sharp turn for the worst. Yeah, can you imagine? He's literally in control of the situation. You're gonna run in. Police! No, that's not the move. He might panic and actually go through with it. They just have to hope that the young man could talk him down. That's an Achi jump, I'm sure. What timing, though? From 35 to 35, it's at the same time. I guess I'm gonna hit a keep out. Yeah, I am. There you go. I figured as much. I feel like Achi and Kano need to progress together for this part. They'd probably have to jump to each other and unlock it. Alright then. Let's see it, Achi. Let's see what the hell led up to that. Like, who got there first for that to have happened? I want to know. Let's go, Achi. They're just here in the car. Achi and told Stanley and Hitomi what his father had done. As she listened, Hitomi hung her head. Her face was sallow? Sallow? What does that word mean? It probably means something like sad, but I want to double check. Define sallow. Unhealthy. Pale. She paled. Okay, her face was pale. Okay. Unhealthy. The fact that the first result was unhealthy. Okay. I'm so sorry, Achi told her. I'm not really sure what to say. He clenched his fist so hard that his knuckles popped, struggling to keep his emotions in check. So, if I were rendered brain dead, you could help your sister, Hitomi murmured. No, man! Stop! Achi said quickly. Please, don't say things like that. A sad look came to Hitomi's face and she pressed her right hand to her heart. I mean, to find out like this. She turned to Achi, tears glistening in her eyes. I want to help your sister, but we have other things to worry about right now. I forgot Stanley was in this car with them. Stanley driving the car like, oh brother, just like another romance drama unfolding in my backseat here. This time it was Stanley who cut her off. Remember, if Alfred is after you, Hitomi, isn't that what Kainan told you? Yes, she said I was the mastermind target. Hitomi wiped her tears away with her fingertips. So Alfred and Achi's father are after the same thing, Stanley said. Is that just a coincidence? It didn't sound like he thought so. Oh wait, hold up, Achi growled, leaning in from the back seat. Yeah, my dad's way out of line. But what he did what he did for Suzune. He wouldn't work with terrorists. I'm not saying he's deliberately aiding terrorists, Stanley replied coolly. It's common sense that a pro wouldn't get an amateur involved with their plans. That makes it too likely that a clumsy misstep will cause things to fall apart. But then again, that's not the way Alfred thinks. So, actually, the likelihood of failure could well be part of the plan. Achi thought back to what Kainan had said earlier. Makes his plans imperfect. If you achieve your goals using accidental means, the outline becomes blurred and it becomes harder for anyone outside looking in to grasp what the actual plan is. Why is our flashback like this though? Not the bright white light and blurring her away. Yo guys, this is gonna make YouTube pick this up as a weird thumbnail again like every other video in this series. Not only have they put together a perfect plan, they purposely left certain tiny holes in it. So if we assume the plan has failed, this might be the slip-up. This slip-up might be exactly what Alfred wants, Stanley muttered. Sort of an intentional hole then, Achi said. Stanley snorted. Kainan told you guys that too, huh? If that's the case, then you really are a fool. What did you just call me? Achi barked. If you've known all along how formidable this opponent is, you should have given Hitomi over to police custody right away. It's only a matter of dumb luck that either of you are still alive right now. Look, luck or not, me and Hitomi have managed to get by safely. That's all that matters. Nah, bro, that actually was dumb luck. You know how many times I had to repeat this process? What exactly is the relationship between you two anyway? Are you guys dating? Achi and Hitomi exchanged glances. When Hitomi hesitated uneasily, Achi decided he better speak up. No, it's not like that. We just happened to run into each other earlier today. Guess I'm not the kind of guy who can abandon someone in trouble. Can't abandon someone in trouble, huh? You sure you're not just trying to make yourself feel self-important? There are plenty of people out there that can't see who are also in trouble, who are also suffering. If you only help the ones close at hand, then what's the point, really? The world's a lot bigger than you can imagine, and there's a lot you're blind to. Why is he so cynical all of a sudden? So what? If I see someone who's in trouble, I'm just supposed to ignore them? Nah, I can't do that. If I see someone who's collapsed from hunger, I'm not just gonna walk on by because there are other people starving somewhere else in the world. I'd be all, hey, let me treat you to a beef bowl, or whatever. You couldn't have come up with a smarter example, Stanley replied with a tiny laugh. Okay, so I'm an idiot, Achi scowled. My bad. Stanley laughed again. Today's been an interesting day, he said. I was with another fellow earlier who was just like you. Stanley be like, today I meet idiots, but I like idiots. Me and the boys. Meaning what? Was he an idiot too? Yeah, he was another idiot. Do all you Japanese have that problem? Hardly. My little sister's so smart she'd make your eyes pop out. Well, I'm sure relieved to hear that. If everyone in this country were as dumb as you guys, I might actually start to like this place. Oh, huh? What does that even mean? Talk so I can understand, man. Achi shot back, but Stanley didn't respond. Instead, he stuck his head out the car window, peering at the road ahead. Are they in traffic again? Stanley, you're luck. with cars in the streets today in Shibuya. How is it that you're stuck in traffic for the second time? They were so close to Shibuya Station now, and the traffic had ground to a halt. Gridlock again? Stanley grumbled. It's probably better to just walk the rest of the way to Endo Electronics. He pulled over on the side of the road. Why is this highlighted? Side of the road. Achi got out of the car, feeling his guts knot up with worry. Pretty soon he was gonna have to confront his father. Stanley gave Achi a look. Are you scared about meeting with your father? I'm not scared. First things first, I'm gonna punch him right in the face, then we can have ourselves a chat. Don't let your emotions get out of control. Your father might be one of the key players in this case. I don't give a damn about that. Achi took Hitomi by the hand and started walking. Alright, our epic music is slowing down. They'd gotten up and down Dogenzaka so many times already today. But this was probably the last time he and Hitomi would make their way up the hill together. His anger rising, Achi picked up the speed. He walked at an easy pace, wanting to delay the end of their time together a little longer. What time is it here? 17:10. I feel like we can take that. We can take that easy pace to delay the end of their time a little longer. Once they reached his home, this kidnapping case would all be over. Because his own father, Daisuke, would be arrested as the culprit. Bringing Daisuke down would be easy. Achi wasn't worried about that part at all. If he didn't hold back, there was a chance he'd wind up hurting his father. Holding back. Getting hurt. Ooh! We're getting a flashback? Is that why we didn't... Okay. A memory from long ago arose in Achi's mind. A pure white karate gi. Thrusting out with his left fist, Daisuke collapsing to the floor. One of many memories of his father that Achi could not forget. Whoa, Achi's super strong. Kneeling before the memorial altar of his mother Kotone, Achi wept uncontrollably. He clutched his ohajiki tightly in his hands. Is that a toy made of small coin-shaped glass beads somewhat similar to marbles? Typically involves flicking one's pieces into the opponent's with a fingertip. Oh, okay. Achi had always been rather clingy with his mother. When she was alive, she often joined him for ohajiki, origami, and the like. Oh, I see the little ohajiki on the floor next to the cushion, yeah. On this particular day, Achi had come home miserable after getting bullied by the neighborhood kids for acting like a wimp. Achi. He turned to see his father, holding 2 cups of shaved ice. Come here for a bit. Aw. They sat on the stairs together, eating their sweet frozen confections. You want to get tougher? Daisuke's words were soft and simple. How about you and me get tougher together? Achi looked up at his father, frowning in confusion. How are we gonna do that? Well, for starters, how about we learn some karate? Karate? I don't know. I don't actually know the pronunciation. Achi's face twisted up unhappily at the idea. He couldn't even imagine himself punching or kicking anyone. It'll be alright, his dad said. I'll go with you, don't worry. Daisuke flexed one of his scrawny arms. His biceps bulged up the tiniest bit. Achi was aware that his father wasn't much of an athlete. There had been an athletics meet at his grade school. Even now, the memory of Daisuke tripping clumsily during the parent participation relay was burned into Achi's mind. A type of event where the parents who have come to watch their children complete are asked to join in with them. He took part in tug-of-war only to get tangled up in the rope and dragged over the line. Achi was understandably disheartened by his father's embarrassing display, but after eating lunch with his father, that his father made for him, his spirits quickly returned. Daisuke had made rice balls that were clumsily oversalted, but Achi could tell how hard he worked to prepare them. Aww! It's wholesome. I mean, if you're gonna be there. And so the two began training together at a local karate dojo. Achi put on his white gi and fastened his obi tightly. As he did so, he felt as if his feelings were being anchored in place as well. Ichi, ni, san. Ah, they really counted in Japanese here. I was gonna say English, what? Achi's gi sleeves were made a whooshing sound as he thrust his fist in time with the sensei's chant. Even simple kata practice made him feel like he was getting stronger somehow. His dad, having left Suzune in the care of their neighbors, was working up a sweat alongside him. But he was out of shape. His technique was shaky. He was soon exhausted, and he went to lean up against the dojo wall. Achi stepped out of the training circle and called out to his father. Dad, are you okay? Yeah. I'm just gonna take a little break. Just like me, for real. Daisuke sounded like he was on the verge of hyperventilating. Thanks, Dad. Huh? What for? For asking me to come take karate lessons with you. Achi was sure he'd never have dared to go to the dojo alone. Hey, so long as you're liking it, now go on, get back to training. With a deep bow, Achi resumed his kata practice. This is so wholesome, and to think we're having this flashback right before we possibly get Daisuke arrested. Well, it is what it is. It's like those moments in Danganronpa where you suddenly get a flashback showing the backstory and life of a character in Danganronpa. Then you know they're gonna fucking die. That's like... okay, they're gonna die. We're learning more about them. We're pitying them. That's it. They're next. That's the vibe I'm getting right now. Like, I feel sad for Achi knowing that this is happening. Yeah, the death flags keep coming. This guy is either gonna die or get arrested. Like, that's... I feel it very strongly in my veins. As they were walking home from the dojo, Achi turned to his father. How come you want to get stronger, Dad? He asked. I mean, you're not getting bullied by your friends. Daisuke was quiet for a few moments before answering. His words came out awkward and embarrassed. I was picked on a lot when I was your age too, Achi. I had a friend who would always come and bail me out. A friend? Yeah, a friend. The distant look came to his father's eyes. He was a real fighter. I always looked up to him. I wanted to be strong, like him. His expression turned lonely. I don't get to see him anymore, though. Why not? Achi asked. Did he die? Understandable reaction, but no, nothing like that. Then, did you guys have a fight? Something like that. Daisuke smiled sadly. Aw. He stared out into the sky for a while before speaking up again. His name's Tateno. Huh? My friend. That's his name. Achi's father increased his pace. Come on, he said. We have to go and pick up Suzune. After that, despite Achi's questions, Daisuke would say no more about his old friend. Man, so the whole time that Tateno was like beating himself up about failing him and all that, Daisuke was like, I just miss my friend. Man, that sucks. Like, I get it. Like, I get why Tateno didn't want to show up anymore, but I feel bad for Daisuke because he loses his wife and then his friend doesn't want to see him anymore because he feels too guilty and stuff. That's really sad. By the time he was almost done with grade school, Achi had grown up fit and strong, almost unrecognizable from his younger self. Perhaps he had the physical knack in him all along. He was chosen as the representative for boys karate's team, and even managing to take second place in the national tournament. Nobody bullied Achi anymore. One time, Daisuke suggested that the two of them do some sparring. Achi may have been a national competitor, sure, but he was still a grade schooler squaring off against an adult. His father has been training for close to 2 years now as well. His confidence had grown accordingly. Achi was excited to be able to face off against this old man. Early on in their karate training, Achi's kumite seemed rather hopeless. He'd been shocked that his out-of-shape father was able to overpower him, but also pleased to get a sense of how strong the man was. Achi's got like a blue belt, and then his dad's got like a white belt. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know the levels. I just know that like black belt is the highest, right? It's usually black or red belt, I think, that are the highest. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. I know literally nothing about karate. I haven't watched any karate anime yet. That's it. If I watch one, that's it. Like, if it exists, I watch it, and then bam, I'm gonna be an expert in karate. This time, Achi thought, he might well lose again, but he was going to go all out. As they adopted their fighting stances, Daisuke was full of confidence. The instructor gave the signal to begin, and Achi opened with a sharp low kick. Daisuke didn't guard against it. The blow caught him in the thigh. It looked to Achi that he'd allowed himself to take the hit, not fearing the effect of a child's kick. Achi proceeded to unleash several more low kicks to the same spot. Bit by bit, Daisuke's face revealed his discomfort. Finally, he yanked his leg away. That's when Achi realized his father wasn't letting himself get hit on purpose. He was just unable to keep up with the speed of his son's footwork. If that was the case, Achi felt bad about exploiting his dad's weakness and decided to leave his leg alone. Instead, he aimed a punch at his father's midsection. Oh shit, why is it like this? He was shocked by the impact as the blow struck home. He hadn't attacked with a great deal of force. He'd just thrown a light midsection punch as a check. Oh no! But as Achi pulled back his fist, Daisuke crumpled to the floor, writhing in pain as he clenched his gut. Achi stared in disbelief at his own hand. That was the last day that Daisuke went to the dojo. Aww! Oof. Your dad's pathetic. Yeah, he's such a loser. Achi was on his way home from practice, and some of the older students from the dojo had started ribbing on him. What did you say? These kids were middle schoolers, but Achi wasn't about to back down. He thrust out with a quick punch, stopping it just short of one of the boys' nose. Go on, say it again, I'll kick your ass. The older boys went pale and took off and ran. This small victory did nothing to bolster Achi's spirits. His father had looked so small and lonely, heading away after quitting karate. But Achi didn't think that there was anything pathetic about that. Sure, maybe by now he was better at karate than his father. But what difference did that make? Aww, feel bad for that, you know. In growing stronger, he learned something. Using force to win out over someone else didn't mean anything. Strength alone didn't determine a person's worth. Achi loved and respected his father for going to the dojo with him. Beating him in the karate match didn't change the way he felt. Aww. Achi resurfaced from his memories to hear Stanley talking on his phone. I see. So that's what's going on. Once we're finished with things in Dogenzaka, I'll bring Hitomi right back to the precinct. Curious, Achi turned to the American. Let me see here. What was that about just now, probably? Stanley's reply was clipped. I know what they're after now. With that, Stanley proceeded to wrap up his phone call. Guess I'm not gonna get much out of this guy, Achi thought. Yeah, you won't, like really. Unless you prove yourself to him, you're not really gonna get much out of Stanley. By now, they could see Endo Electronics up ahead. Achi was about to hurry inside when Stanley stopped him. I'll go in first. You two wait out here. No way, this is my dad we're talking about. And don't you think it's dangerous to bring Hitomi right to him? Well, alright. We'll wait here for a bit, and once we know it's safe, we'll head on in. Cool with that? I'm cool with that. Stanley stepped inside. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of sus. Why would he want to go in first? Right? Right? Like, I don't... I feel like we stand a better chance. It's one guy, right? It's one fucking guy. I think it's under the assumption that maybe there's an ambush. I don't know. Maybe I'm just sussing Stanley too much, right? I feel like I'm sussing Stanley again. That's why I'm like, why is he doing this? When I feel like this would be a pretty standard thing to do to keep the people who enter after you safe. We'll see. We'll see if I should be sussing Stanley or not. Achi fussed about impatiently, staring at the entryway. The palm of his clenched fist was sweating. Never before in his life had he wanted to just deck his old man. Hitomi watched him uneasily. Hitomi. Yes? I'm sorry. I really don't want you to have to see this, but I think you're about to witness the crowning shame in Endo family history. Achi, don't say that, Hitomi said. She squeezed his hand. Aw. He found his other fist unclenching. Please, you have to try to talk to your father. Yeah, I know. Suddenly, there was a loud crash from inside the building. Time for waiting had passed. Let's go! Achi and Hitomi raced inside, barging into the living quarters without bothering to shed his shoes. He heard his father's voice coming from the workroom. Dad! Oh, he already held him down. Okay. So wait, how the fuck did we end up in that really horrid situation earlier? Achi hurried through the workroom door and saw Stanley holding his father pinned across the desk. Let me go! Please, let me go! Daisuke trashed both of his legs. Stanley, please, let my father go. I want to talk to him. Stanley snorted dismissively, but did as he was asked. Daisuke stood up, rubbing at a sore wrist. Okay, I'm starting to see how this went wrong. Dad, please, you have to tell me. Where's Maria? Maria? What are you talking about? Daisuke wouldn't meet his eyes. Don't play dumb with me, Achi pointed at Hitomi. You know who this is, don't you? Hitomi Osawa, the girl you've been after. Maria's her sister. But Daisuke remained silent. You're gonna pretend you didn't call the hospital? Nothing about maybe being able to get your hands on a heart? I mean, seriously? It's all so simple. Even I can tell what's been going on. You've been watching me and Hitomi through surveillance cameras. And you were telling that guy with a cane where we were. The blood began to drain from his father's face. Don't you go quiet on me. If I'm wrong, then go ahead. Tell me the truth. Daisuke's arm shot out suddenly, knocking an external hard drive from his desk onto the floor. It was over and done before Stanley could stop him. Stanley hunched down and picked up the shattered drive. I'm guessing there was important data on here. Footage from the cameras, maybe? I have no idea what you're talking about, Daisuke spat. You can't do this to an innocent person, Dad! Achi shouted, grabbing his father by the collar. There was a sound of footsteps from out in the shop. Someone was quickly getting closer. Stanley grabbed Hitomi by the hand and pulled her back against the wall. Good job, Stanley, I guess. Achi stiffened as his gaze turned to the door. Is it Maria? Fuck, man! Okay. Well, we know where the keep out is. It's on Kano's route. Let's see how it went. Gotta be Maria, though. Literally can't be anyone else. Okay? There we go. Let's go to the jump, young man. Okay, where's the tab? Here we are. What? I can't? That wasn't the one? Shit! It's the one at 17:25. We don't have that time part. So I just have Osawa and Minorikawa then. Let's try Minorikawa. Osawa starts at 25. He probably has it, but like, I want to see. Let's take a short break from the death flags of Achi's father. Now for a commercial break with Minoru Minorikawa. The TV news had continued to report on how Mamoru Tanaka had been killed in the minivan explosion. What? What does this mean? Chiaki blinked in confusion. I mean, Hana told us herself that the van explosion was her father committing suicide. Didn't she? The only explanation I can think of, Minorikawa replied, is that Hana was lying. He scratched his head as he considered the situation. But why? Chiaki said. Ozu let out a snort. Well, it would seem Mr. Toyama had her lie in order to deceive us. What an upstanding individual, using his own daughter to buy himself some time. Minorikawa wanted to yell at the guy, but he managed to hold his tongue. The important thing was, Toyama was still alive. Not the way everyone is just leaning in and staring at the TV like ain't no way, bruh. If he was still alive, then there was still a way to save Heaven Publishing. They'd get the current issue out in time with a big scoop waiting in the wings for the issue after that. From there on out, it should be smooth sailing. Well, no matter, Ozu said. Seeing as Mr. Toyama isn't dead after all, we'll just wait here for him. He sat back down on the sofa. But Segawa leans in threateningly towards Chiaki. Hey, he snarled. You sure you don't know where that guy's hiding out? I don't, Chiaki shot back. And even if I did, I'd never tell you. Say what now? He leaned in closer and as she stood on her tiptoes in defiance, and their foreheads collided with a dull thud. Both reeled back, clutching their foreheads in their hands. Oh my god. Just calm down, Chiaki, Minorikawa said as he began rooting through Toyama's desk. For now, I'm going to have to look for clues to where Toyama might have gone. You just focus on working on your article. Oh? Ozu raised an eyebrow. Getting all cooperative all of a sudden, I see. I want to change up the plan for next month's issue, and I can't do that without the editor-in-chief's approval. What Minorikawa was actually looking for, however, was a back issue of 4-Star General Gossip. He was pretty sure the article on Osawa had been printed in the magazine's inaugural issue. If he could find the scandalous piece that the scientist had asked for, he'd also be able to get his big lead about the power balance of the world being at stake. And if he could get that, not only would the next month's issue be a sure thing, it was a good bet that the sales figures would go through the roof. He found a folder full of early material and quickly flipped through it. Didn't take him long to find the article. Floundering Okashi Pharmaceutical arranges marriage of political convenience. The large headline practically jumped off the page. Minorikawa quickly read over the story. The basic gist of it was this. The corporate director of Okashi Pharmaceutical, quote-unquote, sacrificed his daughter in order to keep a researcher named Kenji Osawa on board. The daughter, however, had been previously dating another man. That must be what Osawa wanted him to look into. The guy his wife has been dating before they were married. Well, should be easy enough to just ask whoever had written the article. Minorikawa's gaze jumped to the end of the piece, looking for the writing credit. The piece had been written by Toyama himself. Aw man. Hey, ain't you done yet? Segawa yelled. Tell us where Toyama is already. Yeah, Minorikawa thought. We're gonna need to do something about these guys. I'm still looking into it, he said. Just hold on. He made a show of opening and closing various desk drawers. Drawers themselves were practically a jumbled mess of electrical and gas bills, noodle house delivery menus, and the like. Look faster, Segawa growled. Butter this guy up. Maybe we could... Getting noodles delivered for dinner, let's fucking go, man. Maybe he could mollify this guy by having some noodles delivered for dinner. Hey, you guys hungry? I was thinking of ordering some soba. Man, this ain't no time for that, Segawa snarled. Besides, we just had some soba anyhow. And it was awful. Don't talk to me about noodles. Segawa launched into a shadowboxing session as if trying to punch the provider of his disappointing soba. This guy had zero capacity for sitting still. Minorikawa had found the back issue of the gossip he was looking for. He still needed Chiaki's article though, and she wasn't quite finished yet. He still had to buy more time. By the way, he said to Segawa, are you familiar with SOS? SOS? The thug paused mid-jab. Yeah, SOS. I was planning on interviewing them later today. Here are some pretty tough guys. only one of them who would be able to give me a fight probably be that Achi Endo. Except, as I hear it, he's left the gang. Ugh, really now? Heard anything else interesting? Sounds like nowadays they're just being run by some guy named Susumu. The name Susumu rung a bell. The two young punks who had been arguing after the van explosion had mentioned him. Seems like SOS is in pretty rough state since Achi left though, Sagawa added. Minarikawa didn't miss a beat. What do you mean, rough state? Back in the day, they were all goody two-shoes, never shake folks down or steal or any of that stuff. Guess their founder Achi hated that sort of thing? But since he's out, a lot of rough and tumble hot-blooded types have been signing up with him. Smart move is not to get involved with SOS nowadays, really. Hard to find a scarier bunch around here, and then there's a whole lot of them together. Uh-huh. And their main hangout's at that inferno, yeah? Yeah, over in Urahara-juku. Wow, he's just telling us. Known as Urahara for short. I don't know where this is, but awesome. Man, you've been listening out on the streets. What gives? Urahara-juku, huh? Minarikawa smiled to himself. Inferno's position had practically fallen into his lap. Suddenly, Sagawa's eyes went wide. Aha! So that's where Toyama is. Wait, nah. No way. A coward like him would never go to a place like that. Chiaki looked up from her keyboard. Look, can you please shut up? No, you shut up. Not the way they're arguing so much. That's my phone. Minarikawa pulled out his cell phone out of his pocket. It was Toyama's name on the incoming call screen. Minarikawa's heart skipped a beat. Toyama, where are you? He blurted out as he picked up. Chiaki, Ozu, and Sagawa turned to look at him as one. Well, what were you thinking, faking your death like that? Even if we could fill those pages and postpone repayment, all it would do is delay the inevitable. So, I'd still be up to my ears in debt. So I thought if I made it look like I was dead... Minarikawa let out an exasperated sigh. Well, everyone already knows you're still alive, so your little attempt at subterfuge did not even wind up buying you time. What? Toyama's hysterical squeak was painful to hear. Alright, listen up, Minarikawa said. If it's the debt you're worried about, you'll be able to pay that back real soon. What do you mean? I've landed a huge scoop. You could do a print run of 1 million copies and still sell out, if we can run it as an article. Toyama perked right up. Wait, you really mean it? I'll give you all the details. Just get your butt back here. But aren't those loan sharks there at the office right now? Fine, then I'll come to you. Tell me where you are. The two crowded... They're just ganging up on him. The two thugs crowded nearer, predatory gleam in their eyes. And Minarikawa had a flash of inspiration. Got it, he said quickly before Toyama could respond. Miyashita Park, I'm on my way now. Don't go anywhere. Ozu and Sagawa grinned at one another and then bolted out the door. Heh, Minarikawa said as their footsteps receded. Those guys took the bait. I sent them to Miyashita Park. He allowed himself a cocksure grin. Alright then, so where are you really, Toyama? You imbecile! I am at Miyashita Park! What? We tried to 5D chess them. We tried to 5D chess them and totally throw them off his trail, but then he actually was there. God damn it, man. Minarikawa fought the urge to pull his hair out. What the hell are you doing someplace like that? Why the hell did you tell them Miyashita Park? I thought it would be a clever ruse. Well, it wasn't. There's no time to be fighting, Chiaki butted in. Yeah, you're right, Minarikawa scowled. Anyway, Toyama, those guys are headed your way. We need you to get out of there and go someplace we can talk. I can meet you there. Right. Okay. They needed someplace safe and public where they could speak freely. Someplace where the staff wouldn't be overly nosy. Oh, God. I feel like that cafe is good. The cafe is good. After all, the staff didn't fucking care. Even though... Well, they did care, but they were bothered and all that. And it would be technically safe if Shizuo is still there, right? Although the noodle house, that guy wouldn't... Sagawa wouldn't even want to see noodles again soon, right? But let's try the cafe. The familiar cafe by the station was a natural choice. He quickly described the location. Okay, Toyama said. Cafe Lautrec. Got it. I'll see you there. He hung up, and Minarikawa quickly gathered his belongings. Chiaki, how's the copy coming along? Well, almost done? Just a little more, I think. Alright, bring your computer and come with me. I'll read over what you got so far. Minorikawa waited as Chiaki got ready to head to the cafe. As the two were heading out of the office, however, someone else opened the door. You've got 14 minutes and 57 seconds left to send to press. 14 minutes, 50 seconds. Submits to the editor. 56, 55. Who the hell are you? What? Thank you for the hydrate, Reeker. And stretch. Who is this? A slender man with a gaudy necktie entered the room. Bootleg Kano. Yeah, that's actually what I thought. Sat down with the nearest desk, staring fixedly at his pocket watch. I think it's because of his hairstyle. His hairstyle is somewhat similar to what Kano's got, and he's also in a suit. Minorikawa narrowed his eyes dubiously. Who the hell are you? Anyways, make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. That's just common decency. The man gave no indication that he'd even heard Minorikawa's question. I suppose I can wait here, he continued. Just for another 14 minutes and 20 seconds. Mr. Mino? Is this guy talking about our submission? Chiaki stared doubtfully at the newcomer. Hey you, Minorikawa asked. Are you from the printer? But the man did not reply. Don't you ignore me. Are you from the printer? Still, the man remained silent. Minorikawa was furious. Look, cut the crap, he roared. In response, the man quietly reached into his suit pocket and pulled out his business card. My name's not Hey You. He handed the card to Minorikawa. It read, Cho Nippon Printing Corporation Ltd. Sales Department Division Number 1, Koichiro Katayama. I'm Koichiro Katayama, newly assigned to Heaven Publishing. A pleasure to meet you. My predecessor's in the hospital due to a car accident. Sachio Usui, 39 years old, single, longtime veteran at Cho Nippon Printing. Rather timid by nature, the strain of dealing with publishers makes him sick to his stomach. Around 1 p.m. earlier today, he was driving to meet one of his clients. When he had to swerve to avoid a young man and woman who darted onto the street, he crashed into the car next to him and ended up at the hospital. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! He should make a complete recovery in about 2 months. Well, what are you doing here, Katayama? Minorikawa asked. I thought we had until 8 o'clock to finish the proofreading. 8 o'clock? Surely you must be joking. Our company's proofreading deadline is 5:30. Katayama stared fixedly back at Minorikawa. Now that had to be a joke. I heard from the editor-in-chief that it was 8 o'clock. I take that to mean then that you don't have a copy for us. No, it's not that we don't have it, Minorikawa said. It's just not finished yet. Just hold on until 8. Katayama raised an eyebrow. No. Publisher and printer need to work in concert. Perhaps my predecessor was the sort to delay proofing deadline owing to your circumstances here. But now I'm in charge, and I do not make exceptions. The proofing deadline is 5:30 sharp, and I intend to keep it that way. And while we've been having this discussion, you're down to 12 minutes and 32 seconds. Katayama held out his pocket watch as if to emphasize the point. That's ridiculous, Minorikawa exclaimed. Just who the hell do you think you are? You guys are going to be printing a paper that I wrote. Don't you even know how lucky that makes you? So just wait, okay? Just give us 3 more days? Oh my god. Just do the 8 o'clock, man. That was the agreed time. Yeah, it was the original understanding. It was unfair to change it now. 8 o'clock, And where's your guarantee that you'll finish by then? We will, just trust me. Trust me, bro? I'm supposed to heedlessly trust the word of a man I just met, Katayama mused. We're down to 10 minutes and 46 seconds, by the way. You son of a bitch! Don't get all high and mighty just because you work for the printer. High and mighty? I'd say it's the people on the publishing side of things that tend to act high and mighty. Whatever high-minded claims you might make, without us, you'd have nothing to put on the store shelves. Forgetting that blithely ignoring your proofing deadline makes more work on our end. Just what are you getting at, I wonder? Now it's 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Minorikawa ground his teeth so hard he could hear it. His usual tactics were useless here. Katayama was simply too unflappable to be browbeaten. But if he backed down now, it was game over. 10 minutes and 7 seconds remaining. I realize there's little point, but I'll wait until the designated time. That's just common decency. Katayama's pet phrase, oh my god. Thus far, he has said that's just common decency 3 times in this story. Always make sure to show up 15 minutes ahead of the appointed time. There's little point. I'll wait until the designated time. There was one more. Do you know when and where it was? I have no idea, man. Katayama's eyes were once again locked on his pocket watch. It was no use. Minorikawa couldn't find a way to talk this guy around. Chiaki held her hand up. May I say something? Isn't it also common decency not to break a promise once it's been made? If you're referring to the 8 o'clock deadline, I was not the one who promised that. Maybe not, but I believe your predecessor's responsibilities become your responsibilities. Katayama crossed his arms and gave her a bemused look. What's your name, miss? Chiaki, she said bashfully. Chiaki Iso. The printer's expression brightened visibly. Good. That timid hesitation of yours is just splendid. You have none of the arrogance of so typical among publishers. Huh? Chiaki was rather taken aback. In deference to your polite demeanor, I shall wait until 7 o'clock. That is the latest I can possibly allow. All right, Minorikawa shouted, practically in Katayama's face. We agree to those terms. No, I wasn't talking to... We've got terms of our own. Katayama reeled over ever so slightly. I'm not certain you're in any position to set terms here. Just shut up and listen. From here on out, you're coming with us. What? Why? Oh my god! Our little party is growing. We're gonna finish up our copy on site, then burn the data onto the CD and hand it over to you there. That's why. Katayama let out a sigh of resignation. Oh, very well. I suppose I'd simply be waiting here anyway. Minorikawa pumped his fist in victory. Alright, Chiaki. Go and copy the DTP data we've got so far onto your computer. Sure thing, Mr. Mino. Chiaki set about copying the data from the editing department's desktop. Okay, done! Then let's go! With the others in tow, Minorikawa headed for the cafe where Toyama would be waiting. Toyama be like, what the hell? You even brought the publisher? They reached Cafe Lautrec without incident, and Minorikawa promptly spotted the publisher. Over here, Toyama hissed, eyeing his surroundings with obvious unease. Hana sat by his side, sullenly sipping on some juice. The waitress came over as Minorikawa joined them. May I take your order? She asked. Water. Just water, sir? Fine, make it double. I feel sorry for you, Miss Waitress. Exasperated, the waitress headed back into the kitchen. Toyama looked over Katayama. Who's this guy? I'm Koichiro Katayama from Cho Nippon Printing. Katayama presented his business card. Toyama turned to Minorikawa with a quizzical look. What's someone with from the printer doing with you? I'll explain later. There's no time for that right now, Minorikawa replied. He's on a completely different seating area. Just reading a book on the side. Chiaki's PC looks so cute though. It's got little frills. First, I need you to answer some questions. Does the name Kenji Osawa ring any bells? Osawa? Toyama closed his eyes and thought. Heads up a laboratory at Akashi Pharmaceutical. You ran a piece on him on the first ever issue of 4-Star General Gossip. Toyama's face lit up with recognition. Yeah, yes, that political marriage piece. Yeah, that one. Do you remember the details from that article? Of course! Who do you think I am? Toyama puffed himself up proudly. I used to be the local news copy editor for the Central Times. I've got the details for all the stuff I've ever covered right here in my head. In that case, do you know who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married? Toyama blinked his eyes vacantly. Hey, what's the matter? Minorikawa asked. This is a pretty tough pop quiz you're giving me. Bruh. Cut the crap, man. You just said you have all the details inside your head. Oh, they're in there, alright. They're probably just not coming out. Minorikawa slumped. Mr. Toyama, please. Whether or not you'll be able to pay off your debts depends on your memory here. Hearing this, Hana cast a cold glare up at her father. Alright, I can remember, or at least I can try. Toyama folded his arms and hummed to himself, his gaze turned inward. So I feel like it was a really common name. Sato, Chiaki chirped. Yamada! Was it either of those? They're pretty common names. It's Tanaka, isn't it? Toyama shook his head. Minorikawa offered a guess of his own. I got you. It's Tanaka. No, not that. It was something else. It wasn't Tanaka? Just then, the television inside the cafe switched over to the news report of the Shibuya explosion. The remains of the individual discovered within the minivan itself, who had since been identified as pharmaceutical company executive Mamoru Tanaka. Mamoru Tanaka? Toyama turned around to look at the TV. The image of the victim's face appeared on the screen. The publisher blurted, nearly falling out of his seat. That's it! It was him! Right there! Mamoru Tanaka! That's what I said! Tanaka! Toyama pointed excitedly at the TV screen. That's who Kenji Osawa's wife was dating before they got married! Mamoru Tanaka! Oh, that makes a lot of sense. This based on how I was acting and how Tanaka was acting around each other, it makes a lot of sense. Minorikawa felt himself getting goosebumps. The victim of the terrorist bombing in Shibuya was also linked to the researcher who was the key to the terrorist viral scare. His reporter's hunch was now at a certainty. Right now, Shibuya was at the center of some massive conspiracy. This went far beyond even a major scoop. Mr. Toyama, we need to make sure that this next month's issue hits the shelves. Minorikawa called up Kenji Osawa to let him know the results of his little investigation. I figured this was gonna happen, I'm not gonna lie. The man didn't seem terribly surprised. He probably had his suspicions all along. Osawa told him that there was something he needed to do before he was ready to give the details on the big scoop, but that he would call back later. In the meantime, Minorikawa knew that he'd have his hands full getting the current issue of the gossip wrapped up for the 7 o'clock deadline. He slapped his hands down on the table. Alright, emergency editing meeting right here, he announced. We need to get a lead in on the Shibuya terrorist bombing into the next issue. The article about the twins winning the beauty contest can be dropped for that. We'll use info from Kenji Osawa as the basis for the big scoop on the issue after that. Mr. Toyama, any problems with it? No, that should be fine, but what about the remaining pages for next month's issue? Minorikawa opened the file on his computer. The layout built in the DTP came up on the monitor. The report on the Burning Hammer sales demo. The surveillance camera opinion piece. The interview with Orai. Those 3 were finished, the copy already incorporated into the layout. Once Chiaki's street interview piece was loaded in, that one could be checked off as well. Chiaki, how's your copy coming along? I'm sorry, I just need a little bit longer. The writing still seemed to be giving a fair bit of trouble. The article on SOS was still just a placeholder in the layout. And Minorikawa hadn't gotten any material for that, putting it even further behind than Chiaki's street interviews. Still, he'd at least learned where Shibuya's legendary street gang made their hangout. He'd just have to take the risk of dropping in on them unannounced to ambush them with some interview questions. And then there was the lead-in for the Shibuya bombing. That wasn't even in the layout yet. It was a completely blank slate. Against all odds, they were going to need to put that article together from nothing with just an hour and change. It was an impossible amount of work for just him and Chiaki to do. Well, and how are things coming along? Katayama rose and came closer, trying to peer at the monitor. Minorikawa hurried to cover the screen. Don't look. If the printer rep saw all the blank pages, he might decide to stop waiting. Would you mind telling me roughly the percentage of the total you've completed this far? What percent? Come off it, man. We're at 100%. If you're at 100% done, then it implies that you're all finished. Could I please have the data then? Oh, no. What I'm saying is our willpower is at 100%. I'm not even gonna pretend I understand what you mean by that. Shaking his head, Katayama sat back down in his chair. Minorikawa, Toyama asked, his expression uneasy. So I know I asked before, but why is someone from the printer here again? Katayama promptly chimed in. The long and short of it is that your proving deadline has been changed to 7 o'clock, he said. What? But that's impossible! Who's doing the lead-in for the Shibuya bombing? Toyama eyed Minorikawa and then Chiaki. Both stared back non-committally. Then it really is impossible. We'll never meet the deadline. We don't even have enough people. No, we do have enough. Minorikawa thrust out his finger. Mr. Toyama, you're going to write that one and handle the layout. What? Heaven Publishing is your company. Won't you step up in order to protect it? Toyama hung his head. Even if I headed to the scene right now, I'm sure the other outlets would have already gotten their coverage. I wouldn't be able to find anything new to write about. Oh shit! Katayama just be like, ah, man, these publishers. And so you're just gonna give up? A moment later, Toyama was on the floor, Minorikawa glaring down at him. You've always said you wanted to tell the world about things the mass media can't or won't write about. So what the hell is the difference to make if you've already gotten the sound bites thereafter? Minorikawa's voice was raw with emotion. Hello, cheese, I'm gonna look for now. Hello, have a nice turkey pock. Don't you dare give up. Not that easily. Get your ass out there. Find something that only you can write about. Minorikawa. Toyama began to object, but then he glanced over at Hana. There was an imploring look in her eyes as well. I mean, it's true, it is your company, bro. We're doing all the work, the heavy lifting. I get what you're trying to say, Toyama grumbled. But still, you're expecting a lot. But then, despite his words, he flashed a broad grin. Yeah, Minorikawa let out a quiet chuckle. And it's got you all fired up. Yeah, I'm fired up, alright. Toyama's face shone with a resolve Minorikawa hadn't seen in a long time. There we go. That's the Toyama I know. You know, I'm really sorry. Now I see the huge burden I put on you. But damn it, it's going to be alright. Getting to his feet, Toyama took his daughter by the hand and strode boldly out of the cafe, looking like a changed man. Minorikawa watched him go, glad the dithering was over. Even if Toyama were still in his prime, he'd be cutting it close to do that article in an hour. But he would pull through somehow. Whether it came to taking care of Hana, when it came to taking care of Hana, the man would rise to the occasion again and again. Father and daughter disappeared into the crowd, hand in hand. I don't know why he didn't just leave Hana in the company of Chiaki, but alright. Motivation, I guess. Minorikawa shook himself out of his reverie. Alright, he cried. Despite the clear blue sky, an unexpected gust of wind blew across his cheek. Come on, guys, we gotta get going too. Things might look grim, but he wasn't going to give up until the bitter end. It was time to head out to SOS Hangout Inferno. Oh, no wonder. Okay. The three ran along and hard after leaving the cafe. If the proofing deadline was 7 o'clock, they'd need to finish up with SOS by 6:30 at latest. The gang's hideout was in Uraharajuku. Running all the way there on foot was gonna eat too much of their time. Oh shit, but there's like a traffic jam and shit. But the traffic was at a near standstill for some reason and there wasn't a taxi in sight. How long do you plan on running like this? Katayama called out, panting. Just take a look at the road. With this traffic, there's no point in hailing a cab. Even Minorikawa is feeling the time pressure now. We're just gonna have to keep running until the road's clear. What? Katayama wailed. Stop your whining. Just keep quiet and stick with me. He'd finally gotten Toyama to get his willpower again. Next month's issue would come out on time, and there was no way some printer guy was gonna mess that up now. But the traffic showed no signs of abating. Catching a cab wasn't going to be an option. Fighting an ever louder echo of despair, Minorikawa kept his desperate headlong rush. Still, there were limits to how far the mind could push the body before exhaustion set in. Oh no, Chiaki! Oh no! As they were running across a pedestrian overpass, Chiaki slipped and took a nasty fall. She skinned her knee hard enough to draw blood. Hey you, Minorikawa snapped at Katayama. Don't just stand there, help the poor girl already. Katayama scurried over to Chiaki. I'm sorry, Mr. Mino. Chiaki's voice bubbled with suppressed tears. Maybe it was too cruel to make her run with her computer all the way to Uraharajuku, but the copy for her interview still needed to be looked over. They couldn't just leave her there. Minorikawa hesitated, undecided. Even at a full run, they wouldn't make it in time. And with traffic the way it was, there was nothing they could do. Where's Kimizuka? You now have Katayama consulted his pocket watch. Exactly 1 hour remaining. Ah, damn it! Minorikawa raged. What do we do? Relentlessly, the clock ticked on. That is a to be continued, isn't it? Damn! I'm feeling the time pressure for Minorikawa. I'm not even the one writing this article. You hate to see it. He's gonna submit like 6:59 p.m. At 59 seconds, like with 1 second remaining. Here you go, brother. Okay, that means we really are at Osawa. Osawa for the Achi keep out then. Let's see it. To save Maria. The rain won't let up. The sound is growing louder and louder inside my head. It is the sound of regret splattering against my heart. My emotions surged like a terrible storm within me. I never wished for this. Never expected my heart to be dragged so far beyond my control. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. The words stormed through Osawa's mind in a relentless cacophony. He recalled up the images of the bodies from the human testing trials on his computer monitor. Fuck's sake, I'm messing up the words. He couldn't help but imagine his daughter in the same gruesome state. In just a few more hours, Maria would begin hemorrhaging blood and die just like the people in the pictures had. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. We can't save Maria. He couldn't shake the words or the reality from his mind. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Osawa began pounding his fist fiercely on the desktop. Sir, what are you doing? Kajiwara tried to intervene, but he kept on pounding away. Kajiwara, pull him out! Pull him out of this state of what do you call this? Mental breakdown. When he finally ceased, the pain of the repeated impacts lingered in his hands. My research was never about any sincere desire to help people, and now I'm paying the price for that. And the one time it finally matters, I can't even save my own daughter. Mr. Osawa, Kajiwara set his hand on his shoulder. You can always blame yourself later, but for now, think again. Good and hard. Is there really no other way to save Maria? Nothing else we could try? Osawa shook his head. That only means we had left was using Tanaka's password to unlock the doors. And now Tanaka is dead. There's no other way. Is there a possibility that Mr. Tanaka told someone else his password? Oh shit, that's the one! This was something Osawa hadn't considered. Was there anyone Tanaka might have shared his password with? Only one person came to mind. Well, yes. There may be someone. You're referring to I, sir? Kajiwara cast his eyes down. You figured that out then? Yes, back during the commotion over that listening device. A necktie clip isn't typically the sort of present that one gives to one's husband's co-worker. And though some might consider it somewhat inappropriate, Mr. Tanaka was wearing it as if it were a matter of course, which implies something about the relationship. Oof. You hate to hear it. Kajiwara's voice trailed off. He coughed apologetically and tried again. I realize it's an awkward situation, sir, but please check with your wife. Even if I does happen to know the password, that does us no good if Maria gets quarantined someplace we can't reach her. I understand, Mr. Osawa. I'll bring Maria to you then. I'll do everything in my power to make that happen. The detective produced a bunch of bananas from his pocket. These are all left over. You're more than welcome to them, sir. Despite his gentle smile, the rest of his face was firm with resolve. You said you didn't care whether other people understood you. Didn't you, Mr. Osawa? Osawa nodded guardedly. At the risk of being presumptuous, sir? I understand you, Kajiwara said. Oh my gosh! Ah! I used to be quite the workaholic myself. You're just like me. Innocent and awkward. For real, for real. Just like me, for real, for real. On another occasion, Kajiwara was shocked to run into a man who looked just like him. A fellow was a stylist at the hair salon Kajiwara visits on occasion. He let out a gasp of surprise upon seeing the detective. Kajiwara felt a peculiar connection and was expecting to go to the salon regularly. But when the stylist asked what he did for a living, Kajiwara answered honestly that he was a detective. The other man's face went pale and he bolted out of the building. And Kajiwara never saw the man again after that. What? Calling yourself innocent, huh? How modest of you. Osawa let out a sardonic chuckle. After a moment, Kajiwara joined in. Me and the boys. These two. Next time I see you, Mr. Osawa, I'll have Maria with me. The detective gave a slight bow and then left the study, a look of determination on his face. Osawa watched him go with admiration. No matter what trouble arose, the man always looked for something that he could do. He really was a fellow who knew how to hang tough. Compared to that, Osawa couldn't even articulate his own self-disgust. Asking Ai about the password will also mean inquiring into her relationship with Tanaka. The prospect was daunting. Venturing into the emotional territory of another person was his weakest suit. Yet you have to do it. He left his study, but somehow found himself making his way to Maria's room, not Ai's. He realized he hadn't been into his daughter's rooms since a certain rainy day years before. Now, he stepped quietly inside and saw Maria's world laid out before him. A small photo was set up atop her neat and tidy desk. It was a close-up of someone's hands doing a cat's cradle. Whose hands were they? From the skin tone, they didn't appear to be Maria's. Several more photographs were pinned to a corkboard that hung on the wall. They were snapshots of people and townscapes from the Middle East. One glance at them and Osawa felt like he was back there for a moment. The image weren't necessarily aesthetically pleasing, but they all looked like they'd been taken by a professional. When he spotted the last photo on the corkboard, however, he was certain that Maria had taken them all. Aww! She had a picture of him. The last picture was of Osawa himself. He was facing the camera, holding some luggage and flashing an awkward smile. It was a comical, affectionate image. That's sweet. He'd never known that photography was one of his daughter's hobbies. No, this went beyond a mere hobby. Did she perhaps aspire to be a professional photographer one day? She certainly had the aptitude for it, from the look of things. Maria, a photographer. As he mulled the idea over, Osawa felt his chest tighten. Right now, it looked like Maria's hopes and dreams were about to be snuffed out. Her future consisted of bleeding to a death in a few short hours from now. Aww, man. Hurts the heart, this Osawa POV. He started from Resident Evil and now he's emotional damage. Osawa stared vacantly out the window. The view from Maria's room remained unchanged from so long ago. Again, that rainy day crept back into his mind, as vivid as the present. I feel so bad for Osawa. On that day, Osawa was dealing with some pressing business from work. He ensconced himself in his study, wrestling with some paperwork, when Hitomi barged in looking distraught. Maria's gone! Sensing that Hitomi was legitimately alarmed, Osawa hurried to Maria's room. He found a letter she'd left atop her writing desk. Dad, you only care about Hitomi. You're always working and never do anything with me, so I'm running away. A few hours earlier, he'd cancelled their weekend trip to the amusement park. He wasn't going to be able to get all this work done in time. Hitomi had resigned herself readily enough, but Maria just couldn't accept it. She'd been looking forward to it for so long. She railed at him. No matter how many times had he now broken one of his promises to her. Hitomi understands why we can't go, so why can't you do the same? The cold rebuke ended her complaining, and it was clear that she still didn't accept the situation. Now, Hitomi helped him look around, but they found nothing missing from Maria's room. Despite her assertion that she was running away, it seemed like there was no point in being overly concerned. Maybe she's at the park she always goes to. Hitomi looked worried. The park was roughly 25-minute walk from their house. It would only take about an hour for Osawa to go get her and bring her home. But an hour was more than he could afford to spare right now. Dad, I think she's waiting for you to go after her. Osawa didn't need Hitomi to tell him that. He knew it well enough. That's what galled him so much about the situation. Why did she have to pull something like this precisely when his work was at its busiest? He'd done everything he could as a father since his wife had passed away. Why couldn't his daughter see that? It's alright. Your sister will come back. The rain was coming down pretty hard outside the window. Do you think she brought an umbrella? Hitomi asked anxiously. I don't know, but with rain like this, she'll come back home soon enough. He spoke the words for himself as much as for Hitomi. And then he headed back to his study and got to work. Aww. But several hours went by and still Maria did not return. The rain had gotten even more intense to the point where Osawa could hear it in his study. He was so concerned about his missing girl that he couldn't focus on his work, but he stubbornly refused to give in and go search for her. Several more hours passed. At last, Maria appeared at the front door, soaking wet. Osawa met her silently in the entryway. Wet strands of hair clung to the girl's forehead as she looked up at her father with a bitter glare. You don't care what happens to me, do you? Immediately, Osawa smacked her across the cheek with the flat of his hand. It was the first time in his life he'd ever struck someone. He hadn't known such a violent impulse could exist inside of him. Maria stood there, her hand pressed to her cheek. Tears welled up in her eyes. She began to tremble. On her lip was a small bead of blood. A flood of guilt and regret rose up inside of Osawa, as if he'd shattered some intricate piece of glasswork. How? How could I do such a thing? He clenched his shameful hand into a fist. In that moment, he was afraid of Maria. Afraid that his daughter could bring such a raw emotion out of him and make him do something so thoughtless. But even more, he was afraid of how stunted he was as a human being. Was someone like him really fit to be a parent? What kind of future could Maria and Hitomi hope for with a father like him? That's why he married Ai as Makino had proposed. Having a mother, he decided, would help keep his family together, despite their sad excuse for a father. But in so doing, Osawa had dug a psychological ditch between himself and his daughters. A deep ditch so that he could keep his daughters from being hurt. So that he wouldn't hurt himself. Oof. Man, he was always just thinking about his kids. And now Osawa was staring across that ditch, wondering if it was too wide to leap. He thought back to his earlier exchange with Kajiwara. If you get angry, show it. If you get sad, show it. It's human nature to let other people know how we're feeling, after all. But what if doing that hurts the other person? That's when you apologize, sir. Aww. Yes, that was right. He needed to apologize to Maria for what he'd done on that day. It still wasn't too late. It's never too late. Ah, his huge character development is so touching. I'm actually tearing up, man. When it comes to family, there's no such thing as game over. He recalled Pretty Honey's words. He needed to apologize to Maria, and so he needed to ask Ai for that password. Osawa was going to have to face his wife. This has to be the jump from Minorikawa. And in the middle of their conversation here is probably gonna be the jump to Achi, I suppose. I don't know, Achi's still fucking stuck. I don't know why he's still fucking stuck. Where is... Oh, Minorikawa, I'm crazy. Here it is. Kenji Osawa. Gimme the jump. Oh, there it is. There you go. Let's see it, Ai. Oh, his phone rings first. Okay. Osawa's phone rang and Minorikawa's phone number popped up on the LCD display. The reporter must have finished looking into the matter Osawa asked about. Osawa? Sorry to keep you waiting. How'd it go? Well, I looked into the background of that story you asked about, and I learned who it was your wife was dating. Who was it? Osawa asked immediately. There was a brief pause. Mamoru Tanaka. I see. Finally, he had proof positive of a relationship between I and Tanaka. Now, more than ever, it was no time to waver. No matter how painful the reality was, it was also true that if they hadn't been dating, there probably would be no way of saving Maria. So, Minorikawa said, what's this big thing about disrupting the power balance of the world all about? There's something I need to take care of on my end first. Once I'm all finished, I'll tell you everything. Yeah, that's fine. Things are pretty hectic on my end right now anyway. Osawa expected Minorikawa to put up more of a fight. He figured a reporter from 4-Star General Gossip would be a bit more persistent. Oh, by the way, there was one other thing I wanted to tell you, Mr. Osawa. Osawa could practically sense the finger pointing his way from the other end of the line. Don't be too angry with your wife. All too often in this world, people let their anger get in the way of solving their problems. You may have a point. Osawa let out a wry chuckle. Alright then, I'll call you back later. Aw. Osawa found Ai standing by herself in the yard. She kept her back to him as he approached. May I have a moment? He asked quietly. What? She didn't bother to turn around. There's something important I need to talk to you about. I'm not in the mood right now. Please, I realize you're upset about Tanaka's death, but... At the mention of Tanaka's name, I slowly shook her head. Don't. Just tell me what you want. Hurry up and get to the point. Osawa tried to move closer to her, but she pointedly kept her distance. This is a rough one. I will get to the point. Did he give you his password? This is no time to mince words. Did Tanaka give you his password? His password? For the electronic lock on the lab, I need it in order to get the antiviral out. I turned to face him at last. To get it out? What are you thinking? That belongs to the company. I just need one dose to save Maria. Please, if you know, please just tell me. I don't know it. Ai's voice was barely a whisper. Osawa looked his wife right in the eye. You're telling the truth. I am. I see. Then you have any idea what number he might have used for a password? Ai shook her head silently and turned her back to her husband once more. Even if I did know, she said, I wouldn't tell you. Why not? Don't you get it? Ai's words came out as a strangled rasp. Do you even know why I'm with you? She snapped. You really have no idea how much you're worth, do you? The value of one woman's life versus the potential profits your research would bring in. There's no comparing the two. If it meant that Okushi Pharmaceutical could monopolize your talents, then what did it even matter what I wanted for myself? There was something akin to desperation in Ai's words. And so you sent me those threatening emails too. What? I looked at him in shock. He knew he'd guessed correctly. You'd go that far? Just to keep me tied to your father's business? That's right. I would. I bit down on her lip hard. But what would you even know about how I feel? I'm sorry. Don't apologize. I'm not the victim here. You say that, but isn't it because of me that you and Tanaka weren't able to stay together? I began to tremble. Her secret was out. When did you figure it out? She asked. Earlier today. That tie clip. Huh. Right. Not the sort of gift one gives to a husband's co-worker, is it? Ai's smile was bitter with self-deprecation. Sad. Aww. Osawa couldn't help but pity her. Even Tanaka must have suspected that she'd placed the company's profit above all else, if she'd go to such lengths to protect it. It was like she'd given up her entire life just for that. Please, don't mess my life up any more than you already have. Ai's words were a faint murmur, but Osawa felt the rejection they carried with an agonizing clarity. Aw. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Osawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath and shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more that he could do? Aww. Keep out. What? Why are there so many keep outs? What? I'm getting gate kept from everything. Hell. Why am I getting gate kept from everything? Hello? Keep out. Finished. Keep out. Keep out. Wait. It's gotta be something with these, right? Maybe if I change my choice here, is there a keep out? Will it close any of my keep outs? It's not that. Kano scanned the area. It's just that Endo Electronics is right up ahead. What? Kenan stopped abruptly. What are you suggesting? The twins are headed for the same location. That's my guess. Still, what did it mean? Kano hadn't figured it out. No, it's still stuck. It's still freaking stuck. Oh my god, help? Question mark? What about Stanley's phone call? Will that give me anything? Who are you talking to, maybe? The other idiot. Nope. Wait. The rest of it disappeared though. Wait. Maybe if I get to this scene, it'll come back. Yeah, it came back. Thank you for the hydrate. I'll check the other Stanley's call, and then at worst, let's just Google it. Because I'm stumped. How is there so many keep outs? By bring, he told me in the menu. This doesn't sound right though. Feel like that didn't make any difference. Serious or evasive. If he did try to arrest Hitomi though, Achi intended to stop him one way or another. He needed to protect her all the way to the end. He reaffirmed the vow he'd made earlier to keep her safe, whatever it took. Huh. Let's check. Is it still keep out? Ah, what the heck, man? We're keep out on everything. Hang on. What if here, right? What if I ask her if she was in love with Tanaka? Before we Google, what if, right? Because I cut to the chase. I didn't have any empathy when I was talking to her here. But what if this is all he needed and then she's gonna open up to him? Were you in love with Tanaka? What are you talking about? Osawa frowned. Why did you marry me? He asked. You've got to be kidding. This is the important discussion you wanted to have? Did you ever love me? I let out a joyless chuckle. Love? I'm amazed to even hear the word leave your lips. There was a note of challenge in her voice. Let me ask you the same question. Did you ever love me? To be honest, I married you because I thought my daughters needed a mother. Wow. I let out a weary sigh. Some of the combative tension left her shoulders. That really is honest, she said. So I guess I should be honest too. I married you because my father asked me to. He wanted to chain you down so you didn't leave for some other company. And you were okay with marrying someone for something like that? For something like that? You really have no idea how much you're worth, do you? The value of one woman's life versus the potential profits your research would bring in. There's no comparing the two. If it meant Okoshi Pharmaceutical could monopolize your talents, then what did it even matter what I wanted for myself? Okay, this is the same thing. So you send me the threatening emails. Okay. It only changed at the very first area. Okay, I would. But what would you even know about how I feel? Okay. Sorry, don't apologize. I'm not the victim. It's because of me that you and Tanaka weren't able to stay together. I began to tremble. Her secret was out. When did you figure out? Earlier today, tie clip. Yeah, right? And then, even if it was a listening device. Her smile was bitter with self-deprecation. Osawa couldn't help but pity her. Tanaka must have suspected that she placed the company's profit above all else, if she'd go to such lengths to protect its interests. It was like she'd given up her entire life just for that. And then... You're gonna ask her the password now? Well, aren't you angry? Osawa just shook his head. Could you tell me one thing, though? He asked. Did Tanaka ever tell you what his lab password was? His password? I need to get the antiviral out of the lab. I flinched at the suggestion. To get it out? What are you thinking? That belongs to the company. I just need one dose. To save Maria. Please. If you know, please just tell me. I don't know it. His voice was barely a whisper. Okay, it kind of rearranged the sequence of events. Osawa looked his wife right in the eye. You're telling the truth, I am. You have any idea what number he might have used? She shook her head and turned away again. He hadn't given his password? Was there nothing more he could do? I feel like this was the more emotional path, though. So I don't regret changing my decision to that one. But at the same time, how the frick do I get out of these keep outs? How the fuck? Let me check. 428 Shibuya Scramble Guide. Or maybe I'm gonna check like 1700 to 1800 keep out. Jumps. Okay, let's see. At Minorikawa, 1735, choose Endo. Oh, okay. I wouldn't have thought that. I thought I'd have to give the right answer. Why'd I have to give the wrong answer to get out of the keep out? Okay then. Oopsies. Here you go, Endo. That's not right. Okay, anyway. Wait, did that delete? Wait, we have to get out of the scene first. Tanaka. And then the TV goes up and then... Then it's good to go. Okay, let's go for the Endo jump. There you go! Okay, okay. Maybe from here we'll be able to open other keep outs then. I'm sure that Kano's keep outs because of this one though. The workroom door slowly eased open. It's Maria! Achi was too shocked for words. The girl who entered looked just like Hitomi. Maria! Hitomi! Achi blinked in bewilderment. It was almost as if Hitomi were standing in front of a mirror. The two girls looked so similar. Maria, thank goodness you're alright. I'm so sorry I had you worried. Maria was safe, Achi realized. At last, he'd managed to fulfill his duty. You. How did you manage to get out of the storeroom? Daisuke had gone pale. Tell me, Maria said sharply. Who was it who came up with this kidnapping plan? Suddenly, Daisuke shoved Maria aside and lunged for Hitomi. Stanley couldn't move to stop him, but before he could intervene, the older man had held Hitomi, pressing something that looked like a flashlight up against her neck. Dad? Achi started towards him, but Stanley held up a hand. Don't move. That's a stun gun. If he zaps her in the neck, it could kill her. You know your stuff, Daisuke said. You deal in American electronics? No. I do this for a living. Stanley drew a gun in an instant, taking aim at Daisuke's forehead. No, wait, hold on. Let's all calm down here. Achi interposed himself between Stanley and his father. Dad, let Hitomi go. You need to stop this nonsense. Achi walked slowly towards his father, a pleading look in his eyes. Nonsense? Which one of us is talking nonsense here? You don't know what's going on. If you knew everything, then you'd be helping me. What do you mean, everything? With this girl's heart, we can save Suzune. Dad, who exactly was it that told you that? Daisuke didn't reply. I asked you a question. Who put this crazy idea into your head? A foreign organ trafficker I met at the hospital, Daisuke muttered. What? Stanley let out a snort. A likely story. It's true. I was suspicious at first myself, Daisuke said stubbornly. But he couldn't just sit around and wait for Suzune to die. And after talking to him about her rare blood type and all the difficulties in performing a transplant, he promised he'd do everything in his power. Daisuke's hands were trembling. Tears welled up in his vacant and bloodshot eyes. Then a while later, he got back in touch with me and said he found a potential match. Someone with the same blood type as Suzune, roughly the same age. But then he told me the girl was still alive. So what was the point? Her height might be a match for Suzune's, but it didn't matter if we couldn't get our hands on it. And then I said that, and then the man told me... He told you what? Achi bit his lip. He told me to abduct her and turn her over to him. After that, he'd find a way to make it all work. At last, Daisuke had confessed. Now Achi had to come to grips with the truth that he had just heard. I had to do something, his father continued vehemently. I had to abduct this girl and see things through. I absolutely knew that Achi's father was involved with this. Heavily. Especially with that bad ending we got at the start with Achi and the 9 a.m. thing. I mean, I guess this is how it'd be. He was backed into a corner and he's been struggling for all this time. I just couldn't take it. Kotone's already been taken from me. The thought of losing Suzune too. I had to make sure I didn't fail. So, it was this organ trafficker who came up with the kidnapping scheme then, Stanley said. He kept his gun aimed at his target. Daisuke nodded. Describe him for me. He was tall. He had black hair. Spoke fluent Japanese. Stanley raised an eyebrow at that. Achi wondered if he had some idea who it might be. And taking Maria Osawa hostage in order to lure out Hitomi. That was his idea as well? Yes, that's right. I allowed his computer to access my surveillance camera system as well. But then... This morning, got a call from the hospital saying Suzune's condition was critical. I couldn't wait any longer. I had to help my girl right away. And then... Daisuke cut himself off, reaffirming his grip on his stun gun. I was looking at the surveillance monitor and I saw a detective I happened to know. He was right next to this girl here. And so I decided to ask him. I knew if I did, he wouldn't refuse. He could never refuse a request from me. And that was the man with the cane? Achi asked. His voice was low and hoarse. Yes, I was giving him directions while I followed you on the monitors. Teteno. Dad, you need to let go of Hitomi now. There's no point to this. Achi took another step closer to his father. There is a point! If I kill this girl here and now, your sister can get the surgery she needs. But even Achi knew things couldn't possibly work out that way. His father had grown so desperate to help Suzune that he'd lost all sense of judgment. Why, Achi? Why won't you help me? Don't you want to save Suzune? Daisuke made a pathetic sight. And yet his desperation to save his child was so palpable, it was heartrending. Achi thought back to the time that he'd laid his father out when sparring. No matter how pathetic he may have looked, Achi always felt that sense of paternal love from him. You're not gonna be able to talk him down, Stanley murmured. Achi shook his head. Stanley, he said, lower your gun. Tears were welling up in his eyes. Please, lower your gun. Hearing the determination in Achi's voice, Stanley quietly complied. Achi stepped up to Daisuke, getting a firm grip on his father's slender shoulder. Dad, of course I want to help Suzune. Then why are you trying to stop me? Dad, do you think this is what she'd want you to do? Oh my god. This time block is so emotional. I'm gonna cry. Daisuke's face fell. Did Suzune ask for this, Dad? Did she tell you to take someone else's heart so that she could live longer? Did she, Dad? Suddenly, the fight seemed to ebb from Daisuke's body. The stun gun hung limply in his hand. If Suzune asked me to go and get someone's heart for her, I wouldn't object. I'd help her just like she wanted. I wouldn't let you bear these crimes by yourself. But that's not what this is it? Suzune would never ask us to do something like this, would she? And by now, tears were streaming down Achi's cheeks. He knew that his father thought about Suzune more than he thought of anyone else. And so he should know full well that she would never want something like this. Suzune's not like me. She's smart, she's kind, and she'd never be happy about taking someone else's heart. Even if it saved her life, I'm sure she'd never accept that. She wouldn't be able to live with it, knowing something so horrible had happened to someone else for her sake. Isn't that the Suzune that we know? Daisuke's cheeks were smeared with tears now as well. But then we're not going to be able to help her. The sound of father and son weeping echoed through the workroom. Maybe so. Maybe we won't. But that's better than the misery and suffering she'd have to live with. Daisuke slumped to his knees on the floor, collapsing like a crumbling mound of sand. Hitomi, freed from his grip, stood motionless. There were tears in her eyes too. Aww. All around, it's sad. You're such an idiot, Dad. Such a complete, utter idiot. Sobbing, Achi embraced his father. Aww. Achi's father gonna get arrested though. High key. There was a sudden thud from near the door. Everyone turned to look. Maria had crumpled to the floor, and a newcomer had appeared. At some point, Keinan had silently entered the room, and she now cradled Maria in her arms. Standing in the doorway was a man Achi didn't recognize, his face pale. "Stay back!" Keinan shouted at Achi when he tried to approach. Oh no, is she going symptomatic? It looked like Maria had fallen unconscious. Achi's heart was racing in his chest. An eerie silence fell over the room. For several seconds, no one said a word, their eyes all fixed on Maria. Finally, Keinan looked up, her face ashen. It's starting. Oh no! No, that's why Maria's story had to end earlier. Oh my god! She is going symptomatic. No, we can fix this, man. 100%. We can fix this somehow. Go for the jump. This episode's sad and dead. I know, right? It's so sad. Everyone's POVs are really, really sad. Osawa's POV, Achi's POV, they're all tearjerkers, man. Tearing up here. Alright, Kano. Let's see your keep out, and then we'll fucking figure out what the hell is going on with Osawa if it doesn't pop up here. I genuinely hope it does, though. After the young man's desperate pleading, the other fellow, apparently his father, finally gave in. He released his hold on Hitomi. The tension in the room was replaced by a sullen air of gravitas. Seeing father and son weeping as they spoke made Kano think back to his conversation with Teteno before the stakeout. What was it in people that drove them to do such horrible things? Sometimes it was a desire to save the ones they loved. Even such a heartfelt human emotion could drive someone to wrongdoing. Why? Why did people have to be like that? A sudden thud snapped Kano out of his musing. An instant later, Keinan hurried past him and into the workroom. No, Maria, don't die, please. Maria had collapsed onto the floor and now Keinan was beside her. In a panic, Kano rushed over into the workroom as well. Stay back, Keinan shouted as the others tried to huddle around the fallen girl. Please don't be what I think this is. Had the virus gone symptomatic? 2 hours ago, Stanley had told Kano that Maria was infected, and told her that symptoms wouldn't develop for another 4 hours. Shouldn't they still have 2 more hours to go? Maria looked like she was dead. Her eyes closed, her body motionless. Hitomi tried to approach despite Keinan's warning. Maria, she cried. Maria, what's wrong? Kano held his arms wide to hold her back. Your sister's been infected with the UA virus. The UA virus? Hitomi's face went pale. Hey, Kano said to Keinan, should you really be that close? If she's developed symptoms. But Keinan didn't move from Maria's side. She calmly rested her hand on the other girl's forehead. There's no fever, she said. And there's no blood coming from her ears, so no lymph node swelling. I'll be alright. She hasn't gone symptomatic. Yet. In that case, why did she collapse? Hitomi asked. I'm not sure yet. Whatever the case. If we don't get her that antiviral, she's done for. Okay, she's not yet symptomatic. We're still kind of in the clear. What's up, Chi? Hello, Sajay. Thank you for dropping by. We are in the middle of the climax, I believe, of the game. We have to get her to the lab right away, Hitomi said. She was trembling with anxiety. No? That's not an option. Kano's tone was grave. You may already be aware, Miss Osawa, but without a password, we can't access the antiviral storage. But when I was there, my father and Mr. Tanaka... Mamoru Tanaka is dead. Murdered. What? She stared at him uncomprehendingly. No, that can't be true. He was a member of a crime syndicate. It's possible they killed him in order to silence him. So then, there's no way to save my sister? There was a hollow look in Hitomi's eyes. No, I won't accept that. Why? Why can't we help her? But no one had an answer. Kano gritted his teeth and hung his head. Why did it have to come to this? He'd come this far, but there was nothing he could do, and he hated himself for it. Unbelievable that there's 3 protagonists in one spot. I'll go to the laboratory. It was Keinan. Electronic lock-breaking is my specialty. Wait, the young man, Achi, spoke up suddenly. So you're a martial arts badass, but your specialty is lock-breaking? He looked positively dumbstruck. Keinan ignored him, thinking out loud. Brute force... Side channel. Analyzing the device. Shortcut. Cryptanalysis method using mathematical algorithms. Carry out efficient bulk calculations against a block cipher. Makes use of a share... Oh my god, it's like my brain's exploding. Given the situation, I might have to go with side channel. Okay, what does it say? Rather than trying to decipher the password itself, this method involves analyzing information from the device, such as processing time, power consumption, and electromagnetic leaks, and using details to exploit the system. Isolating the run state of devices is a crucial element in countering side channel attacks. Side channel? Stanley asked. Where's your equipment? One of the lab PCs will suffice. I can connect to a special server from the net. I don't really understand the stuff you're talking about, Achi said, but I'll trust you'll handle this. I mean, you did risk your life to save Hitomi from the minivan explosion and all. Keinan nodded. I have to warn you in advance, though. Cryptanalysis can take hours and still yield no results. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to get the doors unlocked before Maria develops symptoms. I understand, Hitomi said. Achi nodded too. No one present had any objections. Are? All of a sudden, there was a curious sound from somewhere in the room. What's that? Kano asked. I'm worried! It sounds so suspicious! What's making that noise? He looked around the workroom. I'm scared. This is making me fucking scared. That's my computer. Daisuke hurried to his desktop. I'm scared. Why? The bank of monitors which had been displaying surveillance camera footage from around Shibuya had all gone black. What the hell? What's going on, Dad? Achi joined his father, staring at the computer screens. It's all gone. The camera footage, it's been deleted. Daisuke blinked in disbelief. Now then, it seems our main cast has all been assembled. A man's voice, distorted by a voice modulator, suddenly emerged from the computer speakers. Oh no! Oh no! A moment later, the monitors all began to display a view of the inside of the workroom. Dad, what the hell is this? Someone's broken through our firewall. Oh no! They've hijacked the surveillance camera system. The color drained from Daisuke's face as he looked at the main screens. Where are they filming us from? Kano asked, scanning the inside of the room. He used the image and the motion monitors to guess where the camera might be located. Over here? The lens of the camera set atop the computer monitor glimmered like an eye. There was a miniature camera, used for web conferencing and the like. Now that Maria and Hitomi are both there, you have probably surmised the situation at hand. And so I offer a proposal. The laboratory password in exchange for Hitomi's blood. Realizing now that it was Alfred's voice they were hearing, everyone in the room froze. At 7 o'clock, roughly 1 hour from now, see that Hitomi Osawa is waiting at the Scramble intersection outside Shibuya Station, just like this morning. Unless, of course, you are feeling particularly confident. You do have Keinan with you. Perhaps you'd care to take a gamble on her luck-breaking skills instead. Keinan clucked her tongue in frustration. Alfred had known exactly what the plan was. They did overhear it. Of course, if Keinan isn't able to get the door open in time, what will you do then? Maria is sure to die, yes. But that's not all. If you don't agree to my offer, I have the means of creating another Maria. And a third. These infectees will spread the virus throughout Tokyo and the death toll will likely number in hundreds of thousands. Oh no. So do think carefully before you decide. Alfred's voice was chillingly matter-of-fact. I will appear at the rendezvous in person. After all, it wouldn't do for the star of the show to miss the final curtain. I'm looking forward to meeting you all then. Silence fell. The images on the computer monitor returned to normal. The surveillance camera footage came back online as well. Daisuke promptly yanked out the Ethernet cable and slammed his fist on the keyboard. Damn it! There's a hole in the firewall. We'll have to redo my security from the ground up. Good call, Keinan said calmly. We can't win this if our intel keeps getting leaked. Stanley pursed his lips in consternation. What do we do? Kano asked him. Do we give in to his demands? I mean, do we really expect that he's just going to blithely show up like that? He's practically begging for us to come and catch him. There had to be a deeper plan at work. If it means saving my sister, I'll do it. Hitomi was resolute. No, Stanley said. You can't. What? Why not? Because if you do, you'll be killed. What? Hitomi's voice caught in her throat. With the antiviral still present in your body a week after the fact, you're just too much of a liability for Alfred to just let go. He's right! Don't do it! Hachi exclaimed. Hitomi, you can't go. Even still, I want to do it. Hitomi stared defiantly at Stanley. You still want to go knowing that you'll be killed? I can't just sit here and hope that Keinan's going to pull this off, she said. I want to do something for my sister. I want to save her. She peered down at Maria, sprawled on the floor. She'd object to me going. I'm sure of that. But I want to do what I can. To do things my way. No one tried to contradict her this time. If she's willing to take the risk, then there are things the rest of you can do too. It was Keinan again. Let's hear it, Kano replied. He squared his shoulders. He was of the same mind as Hitomi. He couldn't just do nothing and leave it all on Keinan. Okay, we're gonna need Osawa to go to the lab though, right? To get it. And so there's Osawa, Keinan probably going for lab. Hitomi's gonna be bait. We definitely have to catch Alfred. This is the best bet. After everything he'd been through, he wanted to stick with his case until the very end. Apprehend Alfred at the rendezvous and demand the password from him. Keinan offered a suggestion as if it were a simple task. That lets you get what you want without putting Hitomi in danger. Kano let out a sigh. Hold on, he said. Even if we do arrest him, how are we gonna get him to cough up the password? We don't have time to drag him off to an interrogation room. Besides, he doesn't strike me as the sort to offer a confession that easily. There are ways, Keinan said. Once Alfred has made contact with Hitomi, call my cell phone. Hitomi tilted her head. Call you? I have plenty information that Alfred might want to bargain for. I can negotiate with him directly. Kano considered Keinan's proposal. I see. So we'll try both options. Attempt to hack the password at the lab, and also try negotiating with Alfred. That gives us 2 chances. With a tiny ray of hope, Hitomi's face brightened some. We'll split into 2 groups, one for the lab, one for Shibuya Station, Keinan said. Let's exchange phone numbers so we can be in touch when the time comes. The group quickly shared contact information as suggested. Hitomi and Keinan called one another's phones to be sure. Hitomi's cheerful ringtone felt so out of place, but somehow soothing, a fragment of normalcy in the midst of crisis. Well, guess we're all set then, Hitomi said, looking down at the LCD screen. Her expression turned apologetic. I'm sorry, Keinan, for having to keep putting things on you. Hey, Keinan replied. Don't worry about it. Okay, I guess now I should call my father. Yes! There it is! What I was waiting for all this time. The keep out. But we might as well finish this one first. Hitomi called Kenji Osawa on his cell phone, asking him to let Maria and Keinan into the lab. Kano leaned in to whisper into Keinan's ear. Are you sure you're okay with this? With what? I know you're after Alfred. Are you sure you want to go to the lab and not... Right now, I want to save Maria. That's all. Her tone was curt and mechanical as ever, but there was a fierce gleam of determination in her eyes. Maria was clearly someone very special to her. Alright, Kano replied. Leave Alfred to me. He thumped himself on the chest. He'd succeed this time, no matter what the odds. Kano could scarcely recall the whirlwind of events that had brought him here. He'd somehow survived a dozen disasters. Even now, a dear friend was in the hospital and at risk of dying. There were times when he'd been ready to give up. Finally, right? And yet, at the end of it all, here he was. His opponent was an international terrorist. No matter how you looked at it, that wasn't a matchup for a mere detective. But I'm gonna do it anyway. Rumi, Shizuo, Sasayama, and Detective Tateno. I'm gonna take down Alfred and save Maria Osawa's life. Just you watch and see. Oh, yeah! It's leading up to awesomeness! I feel it. I cannot wait for the trailer of the next time block to play. It's literally gonna play after we finish Osawa's part. And I'm so hyped. It's gonna be insane! Oh my gosh, so many things are happening here. Okay, let's take that jump to Osawa. He's literally 5 minutes away from the next time block. So, that trailer is gonna come really soon. Yeah, see? No, 10 minutes away, my bad. But very close, very close. Tanaka hadn't given Ai his password. Osawa's last chance had gone up in smoke. He let out a long, shaky breath, shut his eyes tight. Was it true? Was there nothing more he could do? It is not true. Osawa's cell phone rang. When he saw the name on the incoming call display, he nearly shouted out loud. It was Hitomi. Hitomi? Are you alright? Please tell me you're alright. Yeah, I'm fine. But Maria's... Maria? Is Maria there with you? Osawa's heart leaped. Dad, there isn't time for me to explain everything, so I'll just have to give you the main points. This is so we can save my sister, so just stay calm and listen. Osawa struggled to hold back the 1,000 questions that immediately came boiling into his mind. There's a girl named Keinan who's going to bring Maria to the lab. She's going to try to hack the password in order to get us inside. Wait, hold on. Just what in the world is going on? There's a bunch of people here working to help save Maria. Can you wait for us at the lab, Dad? I'm not sure that electronic lock is something that'll be so easy to. We have another plan in motion too, and if that goes well, we might be able to learn the password. It was all too much to follow, but Osawa realized he'd have to take Hitomi at her word. It was their only hope of saving Maria. Alright, he said. I'll do as you ask, but... You said you're trying to approach us. You're not going to be in danger, are you? No. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Ah, she's basically lying to him though. She is gonna be in danger, but... I suppose it's easier to tell him not to worry. Okay, very well. I'm heading to the laboratory now. You can't! You can't go. The moment Osawa hung up and started for the house, I clung to him from behind. If you use the antiviral now, she said, everything will go public. There's no way we can keep the virus or the antiviral under wraps at this point. Osawa tried to pull free, but his wife was stronger than he expected. Besides, if Maria infects other people, the whole world is going to find out in a matter of hours. No, we can just quarantine her. If it's handled correctly, we'll still be able to retain secrecy. Ai's voice was as cold as ice. Do you have even any idea of what you're saying right now? I do. I know how it sounds, but this is the only thing that I can... Her voice trailed off. He could feel the force of her trembling where she had held him. Have I really put you into that much of a corner? Osawa slipped from Ai's arms and prostrated himself on the ground in front of her. I'm sorry. I am truly, truly sorry. Oh, stop this! Get up! If you're really sorry, then don't go to that lab! But Osawa remained silent, his forehead pressed to the dirt. If you use that antiviral without corporate approval, your time with Akoshi is finished! That doesn't matter to me anymore. How could you say that? Virology is the only thing you've ever cared about. I began pummeling his back. Aw, maybe virology is all that I care about. I don't know the first thing about anything else. I never wanted to know. Never even thought to find out. Never bothered to learn what you or my own children might think. I'm a failure. As a father and as a husband. How dare you say that only after it's come to this? I struck him again, harder than before. You're right. He gasped out the words between her blows. Maybe this has been too long coming. But it's not too late. I can still start over. Start over. She paused in disbelief. You already turned down that American job. If you use the antiviral now, there won't be any starting over. You'll lose everything. Will I lose you too? After you've gone and thrown everything else away like this? How could I possibly stay with you? I was sobbing softly now. Osawa wondered what her tears were for. But there was one thing he did know. She was right. They couldn't be together anymore. Bros, wait. I teared up at his speech. I gotta wipe my tears. What the hell, man? It's too emotional. It's too emotional for me. He got to his feet and headed back into the house, leaving Ai behind. Oof. You won't lose everything. If all goes well, at least Osawa will keep his daughters. He hurried to the back entrance and went into the garage. Climbed into his car, fastened his seatbelt, and took a deep breath. The image of a younger Maria rose in the back of his mind. Aw. There she was at that park, getting drenched by the rain, holding back her tears as she waited for her father. Wait for me, Maria. This time, I'm going to come for you. I was wrong. Going to the lab wouldn't mean losing everything. He let too many important things slip through his fingers. Now was the time to take them back. Bros, I'm crying. Osawa pulled his car onto the street and sped towards the laboratory. Let's go! And the sunset makes it so amazing too. As if to signal the long day was drawing to a close, the dazzling sun sank down between buildings in the distance. It's the end of his story, POV. End of his story. End. So there's only Achi, Kano, and Minorikawa POV? Holy shit! Sorry, Suzune. UA is out now. Mr. Mino, answer me. We meet at last, Alfred. You can go ahead and kill me. This is what I said! It's 2 hours! 1800 to 2000. 6 to 8 p.m. Okay, but I wasn't expecting Osawa's story to end like that, okay? I was completely caught off guard. But I guess it makes sense. If they ended off Maria's story with her remembering everything, then ending off Osawa's story there makes sense. As long as, like... I mean, I know he'll still be involved, but he has no more POV. But I'd say he lived up to his whole POV. He made it count. He made his time there count. Maria regained all her memories. For him, he grew as a person, like, amazingly. He came to terms with so many things and he settled so many things and made me cry at the end. It made me cry at the end. He's doing his best. He's doing his best. And since we're still relatively early, I think we have the luxury. Wait, Achi, where the fuck is your story? What? I guess we have to start with Kano, since Achi's story is not existing right now. Yeah, it's keep out. Okay, Achi's story starts at a keep out. So it's Kano or Minorikawa only right now. And I'm not gonna lie, I will start with Kano. But give me a moment. We're still early on, right? We're still early on. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna continue into this. We're gonna ride that flow. And then we'll probably go for like another hour or so. I'm gonna go to the CR and get some more water first because I already run out of water. I used all my water in the last time block. Okay, so be right back for a bit, and then when we come back, maybe within a few minutes, when we come back, we're going to go on and get to our last time block. We're not gonna finish for sure, but let's try. Okay, be right back for a bit. Hello, we are back. We're back. Okay. Thank you for waiting for that short break. I really had to get the water. There was literally nothing left. There was nothing left after an entire time block. Okay, we'll go straight in for Kano's story like I said I would. We need to see where Achi even starts. He's still gonna keep out. Kano's cell phone rang. He saw Kusei's name on the display. Oh? Kano speaking. What the hell are you doing? The director's voice was shrill with irritation. What's the situation with Maria Osawa? I have her in custody, sir. We need to get her into quarantine immediately. I'll send a counter-NBC terrorism unit to pick her up. Counter nuclear, biological, chemical threats. Okay. What's your location? Sir, the situation's a little complicated at the moment, Kano replied. He and Stanley made eye contact. Kano gave him a knowing nod. He knew what he needed to do here. He briefly informed Kusei of the plan to take Maria to the laboratory, but was careful not to mention Alfred. Please, sir, Kano said, bowing reflexively to the phone. Let me handle this. Absolutely not, Kusei exclaimed. There's no way I can allow that. Maria Osawa needs to go in quarantine right now. Sir, please, just give us a little more time. Giving her the antiviral is the only way we can save her. If we put her in quarantine, it'll be a death sentence. Kusei let out a growl of frustration. Kano, that isn't your decision to make. Kano had run out of arguments. It was clear that Kusei's only concern was stopping the spread of the virus. Director Kusei, are you just going to let Maria Osawa die? We can't put the lives of everyone in Shibuya at risk in order to save a single person. I know that, sir. That's why I'm asking you to please let me go to that laboratory. And if it looks like we're not going to be able to hack the password, and then at that point, a quarantine can... Kano! Kusei snapped. I'm giving you an order. And I'm not accepting that order. Listen, Kusei said. How many years have you been a cop? What do you mean by that, sir? Kusei didn't reply. Is this an order from up top? What's going on here, sir? Please, I need some kind of explanation. Stop it, Kusei said. You sound like a child. This is dereliction of duty. Call me a child if you want. I'm not following an order that I know isn't right. Oh, he just mic dropped him. He end call. He punched the end call button with his thumb. From an objective standpoint, maybe Kusei was right. Maybe they needed to think more than just about Maria. If the UA virus spread throughout Shibuya, it would be a nightmare of epic proportions. Kano understood that perfectly. But still. He looked down at Maria's face as she lay collapsed on the floor. This girl was still alive. And Kano couldn't stand idly by letting a living, breathing person die. Consequences be damned! He wasn't going to be the one to weigh the worth of someone's life. As he stood, still clutching his cell phone, Stanley gently set a hand on his shoulder. You did fine, he said quietly. Alfred's in possession of the UA virus. The people of Shibuya are already in danger. He may have already released the virus in the city. If he hasn't, he may do so at any time. Right now, what we need to do is get that antiviral and arrest Alfred. You made the right choice here. Thanks, Stanley. I appreciate hearing that. Stanley gave Kano a slap on the back. He was right. At this point, they needed to focus on the things they could still accomplish. So guys, Achi stepped forward. Who's going to take Hitomi's sister and Keinan to the lab? Maria was in no condition to walk, so they were gonna have to take a car, which meant they needed a driver. I only have a motorcycle license, Achi said, and I don't know where the lab is anyhow. Is Kano gonna bring it? I should go with Maria alone. Keinan looked over the others. There's no way of knowing when she might become contagious. We shouldn't needlessly risk exposing more people to infection. She knelt down to gather Maria in her arms. In that case, I should drive. Kano whirled at the sound of a new voice behind him. Tateno. Yo! I mean, well, he was working with Daisuke, so if Daisuke's given up, Tateno's given up. Tateno was standing in the doorway. You! Achi's face went red with rage. That opens Achi's story up. Okay, we'll leave it first. Okay, never mind. Let's. I was fucking with you guys. We're not gonna leave it first. We're actually taking that jump. Is this gonna happen while they're together? Am I not allowed to have the same POV at the same time? Do we have to jump to each other? Okay then. Hachi, I'm gonna need you to elaborate for Kano. I thought I was just gonna take those. God damn it! Teteno, yeah. You know what, I really enjoyed this game, but what we need, seriously, is to a skip red button. Or like a fast forward, if you've already seen it. Because it's got a fair amount of backtracking, you gotta admit. Anyway, here we are. Why do they both look so shocked on this? They do. They be like, ain't no way. You! Achi snarled. In the doorway stood the man with the cane. Detective Teteno? Teteno? Kano and Daisuke spoke simultaneously. Now at last, Achi had a name for the assassin. It was a name he felt he'd heard somewhere before. You son of a bitch! Achi roared. What the hell are you doing here? Teteno bowed his head profusely. I am truly sorry. You're sorry? Sorry doesn't cut it, man. Not after what you were trying to do to Hitomi. I don't expect you to forgive me. And I intend to turn myself in to be punished for my crimes. But before I do that, please, just let me do what I can to help you. I think you've helped enough. Achi grabbed Teteno by the collar and drew back his fist. Kano moved to stop him, but Teteno held up a hand. No, it's alright, let him do as he pleases. There was no trace of a menacing expression the man had worn in their previous encounters. Achi scowled, but lowered his fist and released his hold on Teteno's collar. Fine. Hitomi's sister needs help, and we do need a driver right now, so make sure those two get back to the lab safely. That'll make up for that punch I didn't give you just now. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Yeah, bro, I'm so sorry I followed you all around the whole day with a gun threatening to kill you for like over 8 hours maybe. Daisuke stepped forward. No, I'm the one who should be apologizing. I'm the one who got you caught up in this. Daisuke, we really didn't grow up to be good people, did we? No? Guess not. Two men stared bleakly at each other, shoulders slumped. In the end, Teteno said, I guess we were just trying to run away from our pain. Yeah, didn't expect my own son to be the one to teach me that. Achi's turned out to be a fine young man. He is Katone's boy, after all. Guys! Achi stepped into the middle of their solemn heart-to-heart. You can get all sappy all you want later. Once this is all over... Dad, once this is all over, we're going to see Suzune, okay? Sure. Daisuke nodded heartily. Hold on, Kano spoke up, turning to Stanley. If these two take Maria to the lab, that just leaves the two of us to apprehend Alfred down at the Scramble. Is that going to be enough? I mean, Alfred's not going to show up without a plan. The more people we have on our side, the better. And I doubt we'll be able to get any help from the police. Good point, Stanley agreed. Hey, Achi said. I'm here too. And I'm going with you. I'll keep Hitomi safe. Oh, look, good news, Kano. Now we have 3 people. Stanley let out a sardonic laugh. Kano frowned. Achi, I appreciate the offer, but having 3 people instead of 2 won't make much of a difference. When you're not sure of the enemy's exact plan, you really need strength in numbers. If we could set up a dragnet like the task force did this morning, that'd be ideal, but... Oh, come on, Detective, Achi said. Do you have any idea what sort of approach this psycho might take? If I were Alfred, Kano mused, then I would suppose my biggest problem would be figuring out how to get away after I'd taken Hitomi's blood. Stanley nodded in agreement. I bet he plans to involve the UA virus, he said. If, for instance, he tells us he set up a device somewhere to spread the virus throughout Shibuya, that prevents us from taking action against him. Achi swallowed hard. This guy wanted to unleash a killer virus in Shibuya? If he succeeded, then the town Achi had known and loved all his life would become a graveyard. Wait, it's coming together. It's all coming together in my brain. You know? It's all coming together in my brain because they said they need a task force. They need a lot of people, strength in numbers. But they can't rely on the police for this. And you know who showed up on the trailer, right? The SOS. It's all coming together, right? We could get the thugs to help out. I don't know, it's gonna rope Minorikawa into it, I guess, because Minorikawa is trying to interview them. But if we can get... That would make Hachi patch things up with Susumu and the others. Become friends with SOS again. Set SOS on a straight path again. And, you know, clear up misunderstandings between them. And then we'll also have a bunch of other people. We'll have strength in numbers. I just don't know how well they'll follow our commands. That's the one thing, because they do have a lot of shady people now. Of course, that's a mere conjecture, Stanley murmured. Quite frankly, even I can only guess what he's going to do. His expression was grim. Strength in numbers, huh? Achi said. So you're saying we absolutely need more people. Is that it? Essentially, yes, Stanley replied. But not just anyone, mind. If it's not a group that meshes well, it'll hinder more than help. Kano folded his arms across his chest. He looked perplexed. People who mesh well together, huh? Hachi had an idea. This is it. This was my theory. I was theory crafting this just now. We'll go for SOS. He could ask SOS. If there was anything he could do, it was that. It was a selfish request. He knew that. Susumu would probably be furious with him, but Achi would just have to deal with that. Even if his old pals wouldn't forgive him, if they understood they'd be helping protect Shibuya, he was sure they'd step up and take action. After all, the whole point of the gang was that it was made up of people who loved their town. Can you give me half an hour? I'm gonna try and see if I can rustle up some people. Kano straightened himself up. You think you can do it? Achi nodded assertively. Just wait here for me, okay? He said to Hitomi. She gave him a worried smile. Alright, I'll be waiting. It'll be okay. Achi did his best to sound reassuring. I promise I'll bring some help. Oh my god, my theory crafting is not for nothing. He knew where he needed to go. The pool hall in Uraharajuku. That was the old gang's main hangout. Running at top speed, he could probably make it in about 10 minutes. Alright! Rushing out the door with a battle cry loud enough for Kano and the others to hear from inside the shop, Achi sped on his way. That's the keep out we had earlier, right? Yeah. Let's see if how far Achi will make it first. Traffic on Dogenzaka was at a near standstill. Had there been some sort of major accident? Achi ran alongside the roadside when he heard a middle-aged man screaming angrily. You've got to be kidding me! What do you mean there are no trains are stopping at Shibuya? Oh, it's Rumi and Shizuo. The guy was red in the face. We just can't check it out. I'm sorry, Kano. We can't check on them. We don't have that kind of time. We gotta keep running. Calm down, old man. Achi ignored him and kept running. We don't have the time for this. And then it turns out I screw Minorikawa over because of this or something. Finally, he arrived at SOS's hideout. Two young men were standing by the door as lookouts. Achi recognized one of them. It was the kid whose so-called buddies tried to shake him down earlier that afternoon. They roused themselves as Achi approached. Hey, I need to see Susumu. No can do, he's in the middle of something right now. Lookouts made no move to let him through. Achi felt a surge of resentment towards Susumu. If he'd still been with SOS, he'd never try to post members on guard duty like they were low-ranking Yakuza thugs. No, let's try being the nice guy. Achi pressed again. Please, I need to see him. It's important. Just tell him Achi's here. He'll make an exception. At the mention of his name, the two lookouts exchanged glances. Alright, I'll go ask him. One of the lookouts headed inside, leaving Achi alone with the kid he'd helped out earlier. Did they always stick you on guard duty? The boy didn't reply. Back when I ran SOS, we never needed anyone on lookout. We're just a bunch of guys who loved Shibuya. And had a fun time hanging out with each other. That was all it was, really. It's not Susumu's fault that SOS changed, the boy said somewhat fearfully. Lately, it's Kiryu who's been driving things. Kiryu? Oh, that guy. Achi recalled his earlier run-in with him. The guy was an arrogant bully. Kiryu's planning to steal Susumu's throne. What for? The boy took a nervous look at the door before hurriedly continuing. He's trying to expand SOS's influence. He's got a lot of people on his side. Right now, the gang's kind of split into two factions. Susumu's guys and Kiryu's guys. Finally, Achi understood what was going on. The gang members had been acting so weird because they were caught up in some kind of internal struggle. Kiryu goes around recruiting new followers by force, and if he doesn't like you, he dishes out punishment. This month alone, he sent 8 people to the hospital. SOS is a total mess, man. This plan of mine might not work after all. Achi felt a sinking sense of despair. If SOS was ravaged with infighting, it was doubtful they'd heed such a dangerous request he had for them. But even still, I want to be a part of this gang, the boy muttered. Achi peered at him in surprise. Why? They shake you down for Jews, stick you on a guard duty. That's not a decent way to treat someone. I look up to Susumu. He treats me like he would anyone else, even though I'm way down at the bottom. And it's not just me. Susumu always puts the members of the gang before himself. That's why I want to stick with SOS. Aha! So that's it, huh? Susumu really had been trying his best. And the members of SOS, some of them at least, admired him for it and stuck by him. Aw, thanks, Achi said. This kid gave him a dubious look. Achi didn't know if Susumu would help him out or not, but he knew he was still worth putting their disagreements aside in order to ask. The door opened and the other lookout returned. Susumu says to come on in. Achi nodded and strode inside. Please don't tell me Minorikawa's sitting right there. Would be so funny, I think. Okay, right. There was a jump, right? To Kano from here. There you go, jump to Kano. I feel like at some point we're gonna hit a dead end and we're gonna need to go to Minorikawa anyway, so. Let's go! Kano time. Man, the summary for this stream is gonna be so insane next time. It's gonna be so long. Achi's protests were vehement, but he backed down at last. Teteno would escort Keinan and Maria to the lab. That left the 3 to try to apprehend Alfred. Kano, Stanley, and Achi. Having only 3 people was a dicey prospect though, so Achi took it upon himself to head out and gather some backup. I appreciate this. I appreciate that I don't have to replay the whole conversation that they had, but in Kano's POV, he's just summarizing it. They're playing off of each other's POVs, and this is amazing. I like it. Teteno got the car keys from Daisuke and then helped Keinan pick Maria up off the floor. Kano watched him warily. There was no trace of blood-curdling expression that the older detective had shown when he was holding Maria at gunpoint. His face was that of a man with responsibility, the Teteno that Kano had always known. Are you sure you're okay doing this? Hitomi asked Teteno. You might get infected. That doesn't matter. Don't worry about me. All I care about now is helping the 2 of you if I can. He hesitated, glancing down at the unconscious girl he held. By the way, have Maria's memories come back? Hitomi tilted her head. Her memories? I suspected she took a blow to her head when she was abducted. When I ran into her earlier, she didn't even know her own name. Well, she seemed like the same sister I've always known when she came in here. Good. Then her memory must have recovered. Kano was shocked to hear that Maria had suffered amnesia, but it explained why she hadn't contacted anyone after she'd been set free. Alright then, Teteno said. We'll be back. Carrying Maria, he and Keinan headed for the door. Detective Teteno. Kano called out then paused, tongue-tied when Teteno stopped. There were so many things Kano wanted to say, but he couldn't find the words for any of them. Once Maria is safe, I'll turn myself in. Teteno kept his back turned. The words were like a dagger in Kano's heart. Once it was all over, Teteno would no longer be a detective, the criminal. Kano knew there was no alternative, but still, the realization hit him hard. Detective Tateno, stop your dithering, but never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect. Ever. Oh no, he came in with the dick dictum! Kano snapped back to attention at Tateno's words. That was dick dictum number 1. The advice that had kicked off the whole dick diary. I'm not the one you should be worrying about right now, Tateno continued. We need you to save Maria Osawa's life, and to protect the people of Shibuya. He reverse Uno carded Kano exactly. I'm glad that we got to reference it in the final time block. Kano bit his lip. Yes, you're right, I know that, but, well, I hate to do this, but time is of the essence. You're right. Kano did his best to quash his emotions. Then we're good. Tateno gave a slight nod and headed out the door. Detective Tateno! Just before the older man disappeared. Oh my god, why are both of these such good options though? Well, assuming he doesn't look behind us. Let's go with this. No. I feel like this is more emotional, right? Giving him a silent salute. He looked back. It was a breach of protocol to salute while in plain clothes without his cap. Still, it was the best way he had to let Tateno know how he felt. I'll leave the rest to you. Tateno took one last look over his shoulder before finally leaving the workroom. What the fuck is this? What? What? Wait! What do you mean we're adding protagonists right now? Huh? I'm actually gonna take this jump. I would have just stuck with Kano, but this is too much. We have an entirely new protagonist. Tateno.
Oh my god.
Oh my god! Big fan. Kyozo Tateno gingerly flexed his right elbow. Oh, this was before he entered? Oh, no. No, it's not. It was still a little sore, but it shouldn't interfere with his ability to drive. Does it hurt? Asked the girl called Keinan. No, I'm alright. Good thing I didn't kill you, she said, her tone a matter of fact. You ought to thank that younger detective. If he hadn't stopped me, you wouldn't be here right now. Is that right? Tateno looked over at Kano. He was talking to Achi and the others about something. The last time Tateno had seen Achi was back at Katone's wake. He felt a strong surge of emotion, seeing how the boy had grown into a fine young man. Are you sure you don't mind driving? Keinan's voice snapped Tateno back to the moment. Yes, it wouldn't be a problem. Back when she'd attacked him on the rooftop, she'd moved too quickly for him to even get a glance of her face. Now that he was able to get a good look at her, he was shocked by how young she looked. And yet there was a cold gleam in her eyes, a glitter of awareness with no trace of emotion behind whatsoever. In his long career as a detective, Tateno had seen eyes like that before. It was a look he knew well. The look of someone who had killed, and had done so many times. I'm so sorry about all this. Please look after my sister, Hitomi said. She bowed deeply. No, I'm the one who should apologize. Tateno would have liked to go on, to say that helping now was the least he could do to atone for what he'd done earlier, but he stopped himself there. Nothing he could say to Hitomi Osawa could possibly earn her forgiveness. Silently, Tateno lowered his head. His subsequent actions would have to make up for his crimes. He had to hope that this was possible. Keinan, you look after my sister too. Hitomi bowed once more. You two know each other? Tateno looked at the two girls in surprise. Keinan's my sister's friend, Hitomi said. I just met her for the first time today. But a strange series of events could have transpired for Maria and Keinan to wind up as friends. Tateno felt a prickle of curiosity, but now was not the time for that conversation. Daisuke reappeared. He had gone to fetch his car keys. You know where it's parked, yeah? He asked. Same as back in the day? That's right. Over where we always hung out with Katone back in grade school. All at once, Tateno was hit with a surge of childhood memories. Ah, we're gonna get more flashbacks. The sky was a piercing blue. The droning of cicadas, I don't know, echoed in his ears. A refreshing breeze brought intermittent respite from the heat. During summer vacation, they spent their days here. In the parking lot behind Daisuke's house. Cicada. Oh, cicada. Okay. Thank you. I always read it and then I always forget. How the hell do I say the word? Thank you, Blue Neko. As Tateno and Daisuke played near the stairs at the side of the lot, the blazing sun beating down on them, Kotone would always come along with some iced barley tea for them. The two boys would race to see who would drink theirs up the fastest. The cold and fragrant tea flowed down their welcoming throats. Most of the time, it was Tateno who would finish first. Daisuke often wound up choking and spitting his out. Kotone would flash him a motherly and sympathetic smile. Then, Daisuke would grin back at her sheepishly and fuss with his hair. Aw. That had been nearly 40 years ago, but Tateno could envision their smiles as vividly now as ever. They were his only fond memories of his childhood. Aw. Tateno took the keys from Daisuke, clutching them firmly in his fist. Alright, he said. We'll be back. He lifted up Maria and, with Keinan supporting her on the other side, began to head for the other door. Then, Kano called out to him. Detective Tateno. The little salute now. It's getting me emotional again. There was a look of sadness on the younger man's face. Don't let yourself become a detective like me. Tateno had the words right on the tip of his tongue, but he swallowed them back down. It seemed petty to trivialize the aspirations Kano had held for so long. Once Maria is safe, I'll turn myself in. After he made sure Maria got to the laboratory, he would cease to be a detective, and instead, he would simply be a criminal. Aww. But despite the failures that had brought him to his position, nothing he had said up until now had been a lie. In Japan, the charge of plotting to commit the crime of murder carries a prison term with labor of not more than 2 years. Well, at least he won't be gone too long. Of that much, he could be proud. Oh my god, the dictum gets me again. Never lose sight of what you're supposed to protect, ever. You could at least try to be the detective Kano admired so much until the very end. As Tateno left the room, Kano saluted him crisply. Ordinarily, a detective wouldn't salute in plainclothes or without his cap. The little breach of etiquette just showed all the more clearly how Kano felt. I knew it! I picked the right option. No words, actions speak louder than words. No words could have conveyed that better than just giving the salute. If Tateno hadn't been holding Maria up, he would have returned the gesture. Aww. Alright, here we are with this frickin' traffic. Leaving Endo Electronics, Tateno and Keinan carried Maria up to the hectic Dogenzaka. The parking lot was less than a minute away by foot. Before long, however, they found their way blocked by a veritable wall of people. Oh shit! It was a riot squad, with Kuze at the head. Oh no. Director Kuze. Tateno, what are you planning on doing with the girl? What are you planning on doing with her? I've already informed Kano that she's to be put under quarantine. If she's allowed to remain free, all of Shibuya will be in danger. Keinan took a step forward. Tateno could sense that she was about ready to move in for the kill. Easy now, he said softly. Wait. As skilled as Keinan was, she was no match for an entire armed police squad. I'm not going to take all of them on, she murmured. I'm just going to take out the man in charge hostage. Tateno swallowed. Capture Kuze and then run off? It could work. Considering the time limit they were facing, he knew they had to find some way to force their way through here. Still, given how far they had to go to reach the laboratory, he wanted to avoid direct conflict as much as possible. Give me 1 minute. No, just 30 seconds. Tateno turned and stared at Kuze. The two had known each other since their rookie days. Director Kuze, tell me, what is it that you believe in? What do I believe in? Weren't you always the one who said you needed to put faith in your subordinates, no matter what? Well, yes. Yes, that's right. Kusei's eyes wavered slightly. In that case, put your faith in me. No, put your faith in Kano. In Kano. He believes that saving Maria Osawa will let us save Shibuya. He's doing everything he can to make that happen. Kusei's lips curled into a wry grin. That sounds like Kano, alright. Always thinking in such simple terms. Usually, the simple answer's the right one, sir. People like you and me overthink things. We make them more complicated than they need to be. Just consider for a moment. Putting Maria Osawa under quarantine... Will putting Maria Osawa under quarantine clear up this case? No, it won't. So as long as we don't know how she was infected with the virus, we can't rule out the possibility that other people have been infected as well. Tenno kept his eyes locked on Kusei's. Director Kusei, right now, what we need to do more than anything is get our hands on the antiviral drug. We need to be helping Kano. Please, sir. Kusei furrowed his brow and thought for a few moments, then shook his head. Tenno, buddy, come on. I can't do that. You gotta understand the position I'm in. The director's voice squeaked into his childish register. Keinan narrowed her eyes. What's this guy's deal? She whispered. Well, it's hard to explain, but when his voice gets like that, it means... Let's try to make a run for it, I guess. He was confused. And then we fuck it up, right? Because he has an entire riot squad with him. Let's see. Tenno signaled with his eyes to Keinan, then got ready to sprint past Kusei and Nassim. He didn't get a chance to, though. Ugh. Suddenly, Kusei let out a pained yelp. Then Tenno watched in surprise. He proceeded to collapse onto the pavement. Ugh, it hurts! It hurts! I've been infected with the virus. Have I been infected with the virus too? Oh my god. The riot squad immediately rushed to the director's side. As Tenno stood there dumbstruck, Kusei secretively flashed him a knowing wink. Aww! He is helping him. That was a terrible performance, Keinan muttered. Yeah, but it was tour de force as far as I'm concerned. Can't believe he really just went like, oh! 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 I got the virus, guys, help me! Thanks, Kusei. Very nice, very nice. Inwardly, Tenno gave his boss a nod of respect. Slipping past the riot squad, he and Keinan headed for the parking lot. Several members of Kusei's team hurried to chase after them. Don't follow them! Kusei cried out as he writhed on the ground. Everybody stay back! If you get too close to Maria Osawa, you'll be infected as well! The riot squad stopped in their tracks. Tenno and Keinan took the opportunity to hurry out of sight. What? By that logic, if they get too close to Kusei, they'll get infected as well. What the hell? Riot squad, where are your brains? Are they in the room with us? Darting through some narrow alleyways, they arrived at the parking lot. The area had changed a lot since Tenno's youth, but some of the old air of nostalgia still lingered. There it is. He spotted the minivan with Endo Electronics written on the side. Tenno gently laid Maria on the back seat. She was still apparently unconscious. Once Keinan had climbed into the passenger seat, Tenno hit the gas and sped off. Alright. How far is it to the lab? Keinan asked. Normally it would take about 15 minutes, but with this traffic, it's hard to say. Tenno avoided the stop and go of Dogenzaka, taking side streets as he headed down Shibuya Station. Okay. Oh no! They did cordon off areas, right? Once they had re-emerged from the main thoroughfare, however, he spotted a checkpoint set up ahead. Barricades and armored vehicles were blocking the road. The scale of the security effort showed just how grave the situation truly was. Tenno hit the brakes. What do we do? Keinan spoke without taking her eyes off the barricade ahead. Tenno thought for a few moments before arriving at an answer. Whoa! Whoa! The balls on option C were just gonna drive straight through them. They'll never expect it. Is there really another way around though? Let's go with it. I don't care. Let's blow on through. It might be a bad ending, but I'm gonna drive straight into them. Let's go. Get in the backseat, Tateno told Kanan. Why? I want you to hold on to Maria so she doesn't fall. A feisty grin came to Kanan's face. You got it. Oh my god! I like how you think. Kanan quickly clambered into the back and Tateno gunned the accelerator. It's do or die now. Tateno clenched his teeth as the van picked up speed. Then a patrol car came roaring out of a nearby side road. What the? Reflexively, Tateno eased up on the gas. The police cruiser cut in front of the minivan, turning head right towards the roadblock. Crashing into the barricade, it flowed on through, not stopping until it slewed up on the curb beyond. Ayo? The car's impact had made enough space for another vehicle to slip through in its wake. Alright, here goes. The minivan barreled on through the checkpoint. Tateno wondered who in the world had been driving the cruiser. Thanks to the cruiser? I don't really know what was up with that, but... I thought it would be us doing that, but okay, thanks. Whoever that was, driving the police car. Tateno's phone rang and he picked up as he sped onward. Were you able to break through safely? It was the voice of Detective Kajiwara. Tateno had thought he was at the Osawa residence. That patrol car just now. That was you? A call came in from Task Force HQ, saying that Kano had found Maria. I figured maybe Kano was planning to take her to Okoshi Pharmaceutical. And so I thought, you need to make his way through one of the checkpoints here. But the fact that it was you, Detective Tateno, now that was quite unexpected. He let out a weak chuckle. Kajiwara, are you hurt? No, Kajiwara! No! No, Kajiwara, you have to survive. Please. You were one of my favorite characters, not the Banana Man, right? You were such a great guy, great detective. You can't. You have to survive this. No, don't worry about me. Just please help Maria. I made a promise to her father that I'd save his daughter, no matter what. Tateno could hear the energy draining from Kajiwara's voice. Understood. I'll keep that promise for you then. Thank you. The line went dead. No, Kajiwara! He'd crashed headlong through the barricade. There was no way he'd come out of that uninjured. I'm sorry, Kajiwara, Tateno said to himself under his breath. And thank you. He bit his lip and then stepped hard on the gas again. No, Kajiwara. No. Well, we hit another keep out. I don't know where we are though at this point. Tateno really out here be like, you didn't expect it, but it was me, Tateno. I am now here. He's in between Maria and Achi. He at 25, Achi's at 25, Kano's at 10, and Minorikawa's at 1800. Let's go for Kano first. We'll go for Kano first, because Minorikawa's going through his own story right now. It's like a completely different ballgame. I'll leave the rest to you. Tateno took one last look over his shoulder before finally leaving the workroom. Kajiwara. Even after Tateno disappeared from view, Kano remained for a long time at attention. His fingertips pressed to his temple. Minorikawa just chilling. Not exactly, but yeah, he doesn't realize he's about to get dragged into the entire thing. It's gonna come at him while he least expects it. He squeezed his eyes shut, but the tears he'd been holding back poured down his cheeks. Aww. There were only 30 minutes remaining until the time when Alfred had told him Hitomi should be taken into the scramble. They needed to get ready for action. Is the surveillance camera system still up? Kano asked. Yes, Daisuke replied. It looks like what happened earlier was just a temporary hacking job. Then will you help us? Daisuke inclined his head. What do you mean? I'd like you to keep your eye on the scramble for us. If anyone suspicious tries to get near Hitomi, let us know. Anyone suspicious? How will I know it? What's suspicious? Like that organ trafficker who suggested you kidnap Hitomi, Mr. Endo. It's possible that he might be Alfred. Would you be able to recognize his face? Daisuke furrowed his brow deeply as he began entering commands on his keyboard. Yeah, I don't think I could ever forget. It's because of him that He left the rest unsaid. Okay, we got a guy on surveillance camera duty, and then we've got we're getting the guys who are going to be on guard all over the place. Our plan's coming along pretty well. We're getting there. We're getting there. I'm feeling a bit confident. A moment later, several of the monitors switched over to the feeds from around the scramble. Alright, Daisuke squinted at the images. I'm not sure how much help I can be, but at least let me try to atone for what I've done. Of course. And thank you. Alright, we're in action now. Daisuke's fingers flew over the keyboard, and soon all the monitors were focused on the scramble and its surroundings. He then carefully adjusted the angle and zoom for each of the cameras. Now, the whole area was under total surveillance. All they had to do was get their stakeout crew to the scene. Where did Achi go? Kano asked Hitomi. I'm not totally sure, but I think he went to find some of his old friends. Hitomi sounded worried. Friends? Achi used to belong to a gang called SOS. Actually, he told me he was the one who formed the gang in the first place. What? Kano couldn't help but keep the shock from his face. His voice, I mean. Ah! Achi was the founder of SOS? How bizarre that the two of them would wind up meeting each other this way. But I guess there was a big falling out between them, so I think he went to try and win them back over. Kano hadn't heard anything good about SOS since Achi left them. If things ended on bad terms between them and the gang, getting them to help might be a lost cause. And even if Achi was able to gather some people up, how much would Kano and the others be able to trust them? It'll be alright, Hitomi said, as if sensing Kano's thoughts. I'm sure Achi will bring back some of his old friends, and when he does bring them, I'm sure he'll choose people we can count on. You really trust him, don't you? Yes, Hitomi said without hesitation, and then a blush came to her cheeks. Alright then, I'll trust him too. It'll take about 10 minutes from Endo Electronics to get to the scramble. Kano turned to Stanley. Let's plan to head out by 6:30. Stanley gave no reply. He'd withdrawn to the edge of the room where he stood lost in thought, his expression uneasy. Kano decided to leave him alone for a bit. Taking a sheet of paper from one of the desks, he began drafting a plan for positioning Achi's reinforcements around the scramble. Alright. We're planning this out meticulously. Good. Alright, there we go. In about 5 minutes, he'd drawn up a little map of the optimal places to deploy the team. It included positions for as many as 20 people Achi might bring back. Kano turned around, surprised to find Stanley right behind him all of a sudden. The American looked haggard. Is something the matter? Kano asked. You need to go to the scramble without me. What? Where's all of this coming from all of a sudden? Please, don't ask me to explain. Something else has come up, and I have to see to it. Sweat beaded on Stanley's brow. Whatever had happened, Kano had no doubt it was something major. And most certainly had something to do with Alfred. Stanley, Kano said. Why can't you tell me? This looks like it's a major scoop, though. Trust in Stanley? Yeah, I will. But I just want to ask, right? What if he tells me? If he doesn't tell me, I'm just gonna assume that he's another protagonist. I don't know. Tateno came out of nowhere. Stanley could come out of nowhere too. Why not? Please tell me. We're past the point of keeping secrets. They'd come this far together. Surely it was too late to get all tight-lipped now. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you more. Stanley dropped his eyes. Kano had a vague idea of what Stanley was up to. He had felt the need to keep things hidden even from his own allies in order to keep Alfred in the dark, or at least that was Kano's guess. Alright, I understand, Kano said with resignation. Do what you have to, and come back soon. With an apologetic look on his face, Stanley turned and hurried from the workroom. I wonder what he's doing. Well, if he really won't tell us, let me just take back that. If he really won't tell us, just let me just take that back and just outright trust him. I just want, it's a little nitpicky, but I just want to do this. Okay, understand? Do what you have to and come back soon. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you more. It's alright. I'll find a way to get by. Kinda had a vague idea, okay? Alright, there you go. It was no ordinary opponent they were up against. Keeping secrets even among friends wasn't necessarily a bad call. Kano promised me one thing. What's that? Once this is all over, you'll go have a beer with me. Sure. Alright. Kano couldn't help but smile. That's a promise now, remember? Ah. A promise that two people have just made mirrors another made by a certain pair of brothers in the past. Once this is all tidied up, I'm gonna need a drink. You and me have a beer together, is what a younger brother said. And the older brother still feels the pain of that promise going unfulfilled. I knew it! I fucking knew it. I almost jumped out of my seat. I almost jumped out of my seat upon seeing this. Oh yeah, I fucking knew it. That's why we had to go back. I don't doubt my nitpicking now to trust in him. Let's go. Stanley, what's up? What have you been thinking? It was 6 o'clock p.m. Alfred had contacted the motley team at Ando Electronics and the situation had immediately deteriorated. But the new developments had also provided them with one big chance. A chance that Alfred might appear in person at long last. You did fine. Jack Stanley had set his hand on Kano's shoulder. A weak smile had come to the detective's face. Stanley paused, unexpectedly moved. For that one moment, he saw in Kano the image of his younger brother, Frank. Jack, you have to get everyone to a safe place right away! Frank's nervous shout echoed through the hotel lobby. Stanley's younger brother was a member of the bomb and arson squad. Uh-huh. This was 2 years ago. The CIA had obtained intel that Alfred was targeting a high-class hotel in Chicago for a terror attack. Stanley and his team had searched the hotel interior and discovered a bomb set inside the large planter. When Frank arrived at the scene and saw the explosive, his expression grew grim. The detonation trigger is set in the worst possible place. It's going to be a bastard to remove it. In that case, you'll need to get out of here too, Frank, Stanley said. No, I need to make sure I can figure out how this thing is set up so the disposal unit knows what to do when they get here. I'll be alright. Look, you can probably see it from back there. Stanley could indeed see the small explosive from where he stood. It was held in place by several screws. The timer had just ticked down past the 30-minute mark. There's still plenty of time left for the disposal guys to get here. Jack, I need you to help finish evacuating the building. There are a lot of people who haven't gotten out yet. But Stanley hesitated. From a cold and logical perspective, Frank was right. He had a job to do, and if Stanley listened to his personal feelings and tried to usher his brother out, a lot of innocent people might die. Alright, he said. I understand. Heck, if we had something as simple as dry ice, we could just freeze this thing. Frank grimaced as he eyed the bomb. Dry ice, huh? I don't suppose the ice cream would do the trick. That would be a waste of ice cream. You'd be better off just eating it. Of course, even dry ice would be a long shot in place of actual liquid nitrogen. The brothers looked at one another, and for a moment, the tension dissolved into laughter. Alright, Stanley said. I'll be back. Hey, Jack. Once this is all tidied up, I'm gonna need a drink. Let's you and me have a beer together. Sure, you got it. Ah, no, I'm Stanley's tragic backstory. No, you better not die, okay? You have to get the drink with Kano. You better not have death flagged yourself by repeating that promise. You better not have death flagged yourself. You better keep that promise. You two go out for a beer. Matete ne? Stanley headed out for the hotel lobby, which is overflowing with guests. You made the right choice here. Stanley gave Kano a thump on the back, and the detective cracked a tiny grin. What about my choices, though? Debating his own next move, Stanley stepped away from the others and took out his cell phone. He decided to call his superior, Gordon. Gordon Ramsay. No, I'm kidding. It's me, he said. What's the situation? I hear the Japanese police want to put Maria Osawa under quarantine. I'm assuming that's on your orders, sir? It is. There are too many important people in Shibuya. Can't allow that virus to get loose. Besides, we now know that Alfred is after Hitomi Osawa. There's no reason to leave Maria at large any longer. If you put Maria Osawa under quarantine, she is going to die. I know that, but there will be far fewer victims as a result. Gordon's words made something inside Stanley snap. In that moment, he lost any inclination to report that he was with Maria. Failure to do so would be dereliction of duty on his part. He knew that well enough. He knew it. but the fact that couldn't overcome his revulsion at Gordon's callous attitude towards Maria. Victims are still victims, he said. What was that? Nothing, sir. I'll continue my operation to apprehend Alfred. Stanley hung up the phone. He didn't care if his superiors took action against him once this was all over. They intended to sacrifice one person in order to save the lives of countless more. It's from a purely objective standpoint, it was the right call. It's like the trolley problem kind of thing. But what if that person was a loved one? What would they have done then? The trolley problem. The train thing. The dilemma gnawed at the back of Stanley's mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that it was wrong to just accept the lesser of two evils. To sacrifice an innocent for the greater good. Oh, damn it. He would save that one life, and then save the lives of the many. He needed to find a way to avoid the so-called easy way out, no matter what it took. He wasn't about to add a second big regret to his life. Not this time. Saving Maria was the right thing to do. His judgment wasn't wrong. Of that, he was sure. He reaffirmed that to himself inwardly, over and over. Kano was watching Tateno prepare to depart. The group had put together a reasonable plan of action. Tateno and Kainan would head to the lab with Maria and attempt to get the antiviral for her. Stanley would accompany Kano and the others to the scramble to apprehend Alfred. It was a two-pronged plan of attack. Still, could they really count on things going as smoothly as Kainan suggested? Kano thought back on her earlier words. Have plenty of information Alfred might want to bargain for. I can negotiate with him directly. That meant getting the password hinged on whatever deal they struck. What sort of things might Alfred request in exchange? Stanley cast a thoughtful look at Kainan. She was helping Kateno carry Maria out of the room. Stanley doubted she'd answer. She was just asked what her bargaining chips were. He held his tongue, watching as she left with the others. Whatever happened, he needed to focus on capturing Alfred. He glanced at the monitor displays in the workroom. The disembodied sound of Alfred's voice from earlier crept back into his mind. Okay, I'll appear in person. Those words notwithstanding, it seemed absurd that Alfred would actually show up in the flesh. Nationality, age, sex, so many about the terrorist mastermind was shrouded in mystery. Why would someone who had hidden so well for so long ever reveal their true identity? And yet Alfred had gone out of the way to claim that was precisely what was about to happen. It seemed almost as if he'd made a turning up in person a major selling point of the deal. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you then. There was no doubt about it. Alfred wanted them to expect him on site and in person. So, why would that be? He's using himself as bait to lure me and Kainan out. This is a near-perfect opportunity to wipe out the two people who are gunning for him the most. That being the case, how might he attempt to kill me once I'm at the scramble? Stanley felt a sudden flash of insight. No, something was off here. His thought process was running as well, each deduction logically following from the last. But at a time like this, that could be a very dangerous thing. Alfred may well have anticipated where his logic may lead. Stanley needed to assume that any clue he thought he'd found was something Alfred left behind on purpose. So maybe the suggestion that their target would come to the scene was a different kind of trap. At risk of sending himself in circles, Stanley decided to rethink the whole case from the ground up. What was the single strangest part of this whole thing? Aha! There we go. Why had Alfred put an amateur like Daisuke Endo in charge of the kidnapping? Sure, being able to get a heart for his daughter gave Daisuke a strong incentive, but there had still had to be a reason why he'd been chosen. If the kidnapping had failed, what would have happened then? Of course, this was Alfred that they were dealing with. Maybe the possibility of failure was somehow part of the plan. Hell, Daisuke even managed to accidentally kidnap Maria instead of Hitomi, hadn't he? If Alfred had gone up with some sort of professional, that sort of mix-up would have never happened. And yet, even if that degree of uncertainty was acceptable, or even desirable, using Daisuke seemed like too far big a risk. There must be some other motive for bringing Daisuke into the plan. Of course, advantage. Using Daisuke must have provided an important advantage that outweighed is flaws. This was the only thing that made sense, which meant the reason Alfred had Daisuke carry out the kidnapping was to create an alibi to keep his true identity secret, to carry out some other objective. Oh my god! From following his logic, what got me is that he picked Daisuke so that he could kind of like access the, what do you call it? The security cameras, right? Yeah, right? Because Daisuke is the one who is in charge of all the security cameras in Shibuya. So being connected to Daisuke, even though he's not like a professional, gives him that whole, you know, I can view everything. I can view everything and not be sus. But then, which of these is the one that actually fulfills what we're thinking? An alibi, keep his true identity secret to carry out some other objective. I mean, technically this could work, right? But also, I don't know. It's not like a professional wouldn't keep that guy's identity a secret, right? Maybe it's an alibi? Knowing everything that's happening everywhere with the cameras will help him avoid it and make an alibi. I don't know, whatever. Let's see. Let's see, I'm just gonna pick something to create an alibi. Even if Daisuke had failed, as he had, and got caught up in the kidnapping investigation, Alfred himself could stay out of the picture. The police wouldn't have any reason to suspect Alfred in the first place. But then why would someone whose very identity was so shrouded in mystery need to construct an alibi at all? Stanley felt like he was back where he started. If Maria hadn't been mistaken for Hitomi in the first place, the situation wouldn't have become nearly so complicated. That was the thing that really made him wonder. Daisuke may have been an amateur, but would he have really made such a rudimentary mistake when his daughter's life was on the line? Stanley decided to take it up with the man himself. Mr. Endo, let me ask you something. Did you know Hitomi had a twin sister before the kidnapping? I didn't, no. So when did you find out? After I had Maria kidnapped. The organ trafficker took a look at her and said... He said that I have the wrong girl. Said the one I was supposed to have abducted, the younger one. He never mentioned Hitomi having a twin before all this started? No. If I'd known, I'd been a lot more careful. Alfred had certainly known the Osawa girls were twins, but despite the added risk implied, he hadn't told Daisuke. There was only one logical conclusion. Daisuke's mistake hadn't been an accident. Alfred had intended for the wrong sister to get kidnapped. By using an amateur, Alfred had set up the police to write off Daisuke's kidnapping of the wrong target as a simple misstep. Had Daisuke been brought in simply in the name of camouflage? But why? Alfred was after Hitomi's blood. Daisuke was after Hitomi's heart. They both wanted the same thing, so why target Maria instead? Stanley's train of logic had run out of steam again. Still, he was sure he was on the right track. He just needed to keep following till he found where the track would lead. Oh my god, my brain is expanding in Stanley's POV. Where's the storeroom where you were keeping Maria? He asked. Daisuke hung his head. It's out behind the shop. Why do you ask? Would you mind showing me? There's something I'd like to check. At this point, he needed to go back over everything, right from the beginning. He followed Daisuke out to the storeroom. Speaking of the storeroom, Daisuke said as they were walking back to the back part of the building, there's something I've been wondering about. Just how did Maria manage to escape in the first place? You're certain you locked her in? Stanley asked. Daisuke nodded. At 8 o'clock this morning, the organ trafficker came by to check up on her. I made sure to lock the place back up after he left. I see. That visit must have been when Maria was injected with the UA virus. It makes sense, based on our working timeline of when we expect her to go symptomatic. When they got to the storeroom, they spotted a padlock that had held it shut lying broken on the ground. Daisuke picked it up and then opened the storeroom door. Look at this mess. It was obvious immediately that the merchandise had been stolen. I doubt Maria did this, Daisuke said. Maybe some thieves broke in? He made a quick inspection, assessing what had been taken. Some digital cameras and laptop computers were missing. This looks like the work of some local thugs. This kind of thing has happened to me a few times before. Daisuke let out a sigh of exasperation. Stanley, meanwhile, was carefully looking around inside the storeroom. Where did you have Maria Osawa? He asked. Behind those cardboard boxes. The boxes he indicated were piled high, closing off the corner of the room. If Maria were unconscious behind him, the burglars might have never noticed her. So Maria was able to escape from the storeroom thanks to burglars breaking the lock, Stanley mused. So what sort of impact had that stroke of misfortune had on Alfred's plan, he wondered. What had Alfred planned to do with Maria if nobody had broken in? Would he... Maybe he'd trade her for Hitomi? I think that was the whole point, right? Game? I don't know. I don't fucking know either. Holy shit, my brain is not big enough for this. Clearly, I would never make it as a real detective. I would never make it as a real detective. I'm gonna need like those evidences just laid out completely in front of me. And I'm gonna review them every single question that someone asks me. Although I remembered this theory from Achi sometime earlier on, around the 11 o'clock, I think, he did say something like, imagine if they had a ransom and they just kept swapping the twins every time. That sounded super unreasonable, but if this is the train of thought we should follow, then that's why I guess Dad, he was gonna trade her for Hitomi. Seemed reasonable enough. Kidnap Maria in order to infect her with the virus, first and foremost. She had been injected with it at 8 o'clock that morning. Next, Alfred would have carried out a hostage exchange for Hitomi in order to obtain her blood. Maria would be free to go, but infected with UA. What purpose would that serve? It was simple enough to deduce. Once he learned that Maria had the virus, Kenji Osawa was certain to take action. He'd bring her to the storage facility, and he'd administer the antiviral, just as he'd done with Hitomi. That meant the storage facility would be open once more. That was what Alfred was really after. A way in, so he could destroy the antiviral samples at the lab. It was the only logical conclusion. Infecting Hitomi 6 days earlier had ensured that she would be carrying the DDS in her system. But it also served as a sort of dry run for today. If it turned out that Osawa wasn't able to access the antiviral storage on his own, then the entire plan would fall apart. Hitomi had been a test case in order to make sure. The negotiations at the Scramble were almost certainly a smokescreen. Alfred wanted to lure Stanley and the others to the Scramble in order to clear a way for the assault on the lab in the meantime. The first order of business was to stop him from getting inside. But how? Should Stanley leave to stake out at the Scramble to Kano and the others while he headed to the lab himself? He couldn't decide that alone. He headed back to the shop with Daisuke to see where things stood with the others. What the fuck, man? What the fuck, man? I'm going insane. Well, assuming... Oh yeah, my guys Teteno and Jack. Well, assuming we made the right choices, right? Let's just pretend I didn't fuck this all up, right? I get the strong feeling I did. But if we pretend that all of my answers to Jack Stanley's ideas and questions were correct, if we assume they're correct, and his line of thinking that we watched was correct, and he's really going for the lab, then that makes sense why he said, Kano, I can't go with you. Because then he'd be going out for the lab. That kind of lines up. It lines up. And then... So he's at a keep out, Teteno's at a keep out, Achi's at a keep out, Kano is not. Kano is not at a keep out, Minorikawa, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, my guy, you're just not in the plot right now. You'll be in the plot later, I'm sure. Once this is all over, you have to go with a beer with me. Sure, alright. It's a promise now, remember. And with that, Stanley hurried out of the workroom. I think we can keep going a bit more with Kano before we end off. I'm not gonna lie, I'm super tempted. I'm super tempted to open a guide and check if I messed anything up. But I won't, okay? Here's the plan. We're gonna just keep going. If we get hard stuck somewhere like earlier, like I couldn't figure out how to get out of the keep out, then we'll Google that. And then we'll keep going. We'll see if we hit the ending. And then I think this has multiple endings actually. So we'll see whatever ending we get. And then if it's not the true ending, I'm definitely gonna open a guide and see how the fuck to get the true ending. But yeah, I want to end on the true ending on stream. Yeah. But yeah, that's the plan. That's the plan. So Stanley hurried out of the workroom. Sayonara, Stanley. Kano glanced at his watch. It was coming up on 6:50. Pretty soon they'd have to head for the scramble, but Achi still hadn't returned. We need to head out soon, he said to Hitomi. You said 6:50, she replied. There's still 2 more minutes to go. Kano let out a tiny sigh. He shared Hitomi's fervent hope that reinforcements would come, but not her confidence. If Achi didn't reappear, Kano would be left to protect Hitomi all by himself. And to try and apprehend Alfred as well. Would he be able to pull it off if it came to that? I feel a bad ending upcoming, bros. I feel like I actually have to reload. Like, I have to keep going with Achi somehow. Which is probably Minorikawa. So that we can make it. But let's see, okay? Let's see if we can do it on our own. He decided to head to the scramble with Hitomi right away. I feel like both of these are bad endings. This wasn't about whether he could or couldn't. He would do it. He had to do it. There was no more time for doubt anymore. He told me, I don't like having to do this, but we can't wait around any longer. Seeing the look of determination on Kano's face, she gave a tiny reluctant nod. I wouldn't feel very confident either. Oh my god, keep out. Okay then, that's it for now. We'll start Minorikawa's... I can't believe it's all banking on him. Everybody is literally at a keep out because of Minorikawa. But yeah, that's where we'll end up for now. Thanks for stream. Thank you for being here. We went on really long this time. Well, I feel like it's about the same amount of time as last stream, but we got a lot done. We finished the entire time block and we started progressing through the next one, and I'm very happy about that. Thanks for stream. Thank you for being here. As always, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys on Thursday. I believe I'll be starting Azure Lane. I'm gonna be trying it out. And I'm very excited. Excited to roll for cute girls, pretty girls. Let's go. But yeah. And tomorrow is Penacony, right? 2.1 update. Have fun, everybody. Let's go. I'm gonna play it too. We'll see what happens. I'm not gonna play it on stream though. But yeah. Thank you, and bye-bye.